meeting will be live stream.
Ramesh sir, it's okay sir. Well,
Yeah, it's now live streaming is coming up. Ramesh.
Yeah, sir.
Now, shall we?
Yeah, carry on, sir. Everything is success, sir. Technician side.
Oh,
We carry on, sir. Don't worry.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay, sir. I'll go to.
Yeah, please, ma'am.
Okay, sir. Audible, sir?
Yeah, it's audible. Please go ahead, ma'am.
Okay. Good evening to one and all present at the
Madam,
outset.
please video on, madam.
In on. Hello.
Video
On
is
lone undi.
on.
Yeah, it's video is on. Please go ahead.
Good evening to one and all present at the outset. On behalf of the PSWAP Professional Social Workers Association of Andhra Pradesh in India, a warm welcome to you all for today's virtual thematic lecture on co-building a new social world, leaving no one behind in commemoration of the World Social Work Day 2022. I am very happy to see you all together in virtual mode, and indeed, I thank all of you for joining with us. Now, I heartily welcome today's keynote speaker, Dr. Sudarshan Aspuleti, Professor, School of Social Work, the University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley, Texas, USA. We welcome you, sir, for this event. I feel honorable to welcome one of the speakers for today's event, Dr. Sanjay Bhatt, Professor, Delhi School of Social Work, University of Delhi, New Delhi. I welcome you, sir. It gives me immense pleasure in welcoming young and dynamic person, Dr. Balaraju Nikku, Assistant Professor, School of Social Work, Human Service, Thomas Harrison University, Canada. I am sure that you are all feel enriched with knowledge after completion of this event. I welcome you all once again to the webinar and hope that you all will have a great time ahead. I welcome all the participants attending this program through online all way from different parts of India. Thank you all once again, and may I request today's president of the program, Dr. Srinivas Reddy, to continue the session. Over to you, sir. Thank you for giving this opportunity.
Thank you, ma'am, for the welcoming address. Now, before I request G. Padmaja madam to discuss about the association's performance. Before that, just I wish to speak few words on this occasion. At the outset, I wish you all very happy Social Work Month, my dear fraternity members of the social workers. The world, we all know that the world is slowly and unevenly resurfacing from the devastating global crisis triggered by the COVID-19 pandemic, which has destroyed millions of lives and livelihoods and exposed deep inequalities, unsustainable practices, and enriched patterns of social exclusion. In this context, how can we unite to build a more sustainable and equitable future? Now, after this pandemic, now one more global issue we are facing, the global conflicts which are demonstrating the need for a new eco-social world. In this context, we are very happy to organize this program that is co-building a new social world, leaving no one behind. So thank you. Now I request from Dr. G. Padmaja, Assistant Professor, Department of Social Work, Sri Padmavati Women College, to brief about the association. Now I request Padmaja madam to please start this.
Good evening. Thank you to each and every one of you for being with us today. I am pleased to welcome all the senior social work professionals who have been with us for a long time all these years, as well as those who are new to this platform on the eve of the national webinar organized by Professional Social Workers Association of Andhra Pradesh commemorating the World Social Work Day. Before continuing my briefing about the association, first of all, I want to wish all my professors, my senior professional social workers, my colleagues, and all the students of professional social work a happy social work month. The invitees, members, and participants, the main aim of this webinar should be an integral part of our success story, and we need you as much as you need us. Today, I would like to point the attention to our fresh faces in the volunteer category who are part of our social work history since decades. The platform today has taken an effort in interlinking the social work professionals from India to abroad, seeking the support to our organization to realize the vision of the Professional Social Workers Association of Andhra Pradesh, which aimed for thriving the people, healthy communities, a better society and a nation with KAP approach. The mission comes up with the voice of the social work professionals as a member of association. The association is the outcome of the tireless effort of Dr. Tavita Tulasi, founder president, and the other social workers who stand in different responsible positions in the association. The association is working under the cause of enforcing the government on the employment for professional social workers by employing in all human welfare sectors in the society. And here the association has the major objective to create awareness to the government, welfare organizations, and cooperative sectors on the and cooperation in different sectors on the nature and professional capacities as a social worker. Here, the first one is to create a branch of forum for the discussion on various issues regarding the social work profession and the related matters. Foster the development of social work profession with the cooperation of the state of Andhra Pradesh. Maintain and coordinate with other state social welfare departments and social welfare sectors and professionals for better promotion of the services in the social work field. Promoting the exchange of information and experience among social workers, social agencies, and other related areas interested in the social welfare. Facilitate and promote cooperation and coordination among the state and local organizations in the field of social work. Undertake and promote research studies in social issues. Promote one of the subject as a social work in interdisciplinary areas and various degree courses like history, economics, and political science. Send proposals to universities, state governments, and central governments to give priority in various employment and recognize as a professional course. Promote professional membership from BSW, MSW scholars, teaching faculty, and other NGO and institutions. And here, this association has planned to do number of activities. One such is today we are celebrating the social work day. We are commemorating the social work day for this year. And also there are number of community level activities which have been planned, and also a state MSW students meet, and also Corona warrior services in the villages. So there are number of people who stood during this Corona pandemic. And so we need to make a meet regarding those people in the villages and to assess the future action and also to give the support to these warriors. And there are certain notable events or achievements which had been done by this association. That is, we have fought and got the success for panchayat and village level employment and ward and village development welfare assistant posts, and conducted programs and got progress with regard to social work profession in print and electronic media, and provided various services in COVID-19 pandemic. And we feel that this is a big achievement regarding the social work professionals. And also what I feel is that there is a need for solidarity at all levels within the communities, societies, and globally people are interconnected, and that our future is dependent on recognizing all people's involvement in co-building a new social world. And this should be a sustainable, fair, and socially just future, and we should not leave no one behind. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, Padmaja Madam, for your brief note on Professional Social Workers Association of Andhra Pradesh. Thank you much. Thank you very much. Now, next program. Now it's my privilege to give a brief introduction about Dr. Pasupuleti Sudarshan, who is my guru and then presently Professor. Dr. Sudarshan Pasupuleti currently serves as a professor since 2014 at School of Social Work at the University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley, and discipline coordinator and adjunct faculty from 2015-2020 for University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley School of Medicine. Earlier, Dr. Pasupuleti served as department chair of Department of Social Work from 2014 to 2018 and associate dean of Graduate College from 2018 to 2021 at the University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley and undergraduate program, and director and professor from 2011 to 2013 at the University of Toledo. He has nearly 3.5 decades of professional experience in social work, teaching, research, practice, and consulting in working with large systems, especially communities and organizations, including nearly 12 years of administrative experience in leadership roles at the University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley Graduate College, Department of Social Work, University of Toledo Office of Service, Learning and Community Engagement from 2005 to 2009, and the Development Action and Research Center in India from 1996 to 2000. He has extensively taught at the both undergraduate and graduate programs at different schools of social work in the United States and in India. Dr. Pasupuleti has 45 peer-reviewed journal articles and book chapters and a book to his credit, in addition to 82 professional presentations at national and international conferences. Dr. Pasupuleti was a recipient of a Hartford Geriatric Faculty Scholar Award in year 2008 to 2011 from the Gerontological Society of America, sponsored by the John Hay Hartford Foundation. Dr. Pasupuleti has received Outstanding Research Award in 2010 from the UT Jubert College of Education, Health Science and Human Service and University of Toledo Award for Outstanding Contribution for Engaged Scholarship and Community Outreach in 2012. He was the nominee for 2014 University of Toledo's Outstanding Teachers Award. He was also awarded Shining Star of the Month for his work in the interprofessional education team during 2013-14 at the University of Toledo. He also received Outstanding Graduate Program Coordinator Awards in 2018-19 and 2019-20 at University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley. He has received foundations in the USA out of nearly 35 million worth grant proposals. His current research interests include large systems, age-friendly community, technology use and its impact on older adults, cognitive aging and brain plasticity, and cross-cultural social justice studies. He has also engaged behavioral interventions for school-age children and interprofessional interventions for triple diagnosed youth and behavioral intervention for cancer patients. He also has 5 favorite action research projects of building age-friendly, inclusive communities and cities. Dr. Pasupuleti serves associate editor as a member of the editorial board of Journal of Community Practice and a special editor for its special edition on Serving Learning 2009 to 2012. He recently served as associate editor for Encyclopedia of Macro Social Work from 2018-2021. He was also special editor for the Journal of Social Development issue between 2012-2013. Dr. Pasupuleti served as editor for International Journal of Social Perspectives and reviewer for and member of editorial board of International Journal of Social Science Research since 2013. and the Journal of Practicing Social Change since 2015. Reviewer for Journal of Aging and Social Work and peer reviewer for Substance Abuse and Mental Health Service Administration of US Department of Health and Human Services. Dr. Pswaap also serves as site visitor for Council on Social Work Education, United States of America, and its certified life trainer. Dr. Pswaap served as a member of Lucas Country Partners of Successful Youth between 2003 to 2014. Lucas Country Board of Mental Health between 2003 to 2007. City of Toledo Board Member of Toledo Public School Foundation between 2012-14, and as a member of Community Advisor Board of UT Center for Religious Understanding between 2011-14. He was also project leader for the White House Interfaith Campus Community Service project of the University of Toledo between 2011-2014. He served as a member and chair of BPO Research Committee to promote research in undergraduate school of education between 2006-14. He served as the president of Ohio College Association of Social Work Educators from 2011 to 2014. He is a member of US National Association of Social Workers since 2001. He serves as a member of NTL, Institute for Applied Behavioral Science, Washington, DC. Dr. Pswaap is also a member of University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley Forum for Food Security and Funding, founding member of Food Bank at Edinburgh Housing Authority. He serves steering committee member of LGV chapter of NASW and Choice Neighborhood Community Development Project of Housing Authority of City of Brownsville. Dr. Pswaap served as the president of Texas Association of Deans and Directors of Schools of Social Work from 2015 to 2017. He currently serves as a board member of Area Agency on Aging in Rio Grande Valley, Texas. So this is about Dr. Pswaap Sudarshan sir. He has a vast experience, knowledge in this profession. So now may I request Dr. Sudarshan Pswaap sir to give his keynote address on professional social work in changing world. Thank you, sir. Now may I request Professor Sudarshan sir to address the audience.
Thank you, Srinivas. So I have liberty to call him by his first name. So he's just like me, a professor at a school of Department of Social Work in India. First of all, I want to greet all of you on the occasion of social work celebrations, day celebrations. Of course, that's happening across the month. But in the US, the whole month, the month of March is social work month in the US. So we have activities, events, set of local, regional, state, and national events happening across the country to commemorate social work and also to recommit ourselves to what we want to accomplish for the profession, for the clients that we serve, for the communities that we serve, for the global world that we serve. We are all connected now because of thanks to the technology. We would not have had this kind of opportunity some 20 years ago, or even 10 years ago. We had very limited capability to connect with all of us like this. So that's a huge progress and advancement in general, but also it is helping our profession to be connected with professionals all over the world. So I want to, a few of my teachers, the mentors are also in the attendees list. I want to just say thank you to them because they have laid the foundation for my education. All my education has happened in India. So I just replanted, okay, here in the US. So I did my BSW and PhD from College of Social Work and Masters, MSW and MPhil from Delhi University. So Dr. Sanjay Bhatt is a professor there, though I didn't have a chance to get taught by him, but I had leading professors at that time, my time. Dr. Pathak, late professors, most of them I have now no longer in this world, but Professor Gangrade, who was my mentor, very close mentor. I stayed in touch with him until the last few days. So, and also Professor Pathak, who were great mentors, and I learned a lot from them, of course, from all the professors in general. So they laid the foundation for me to not only do the work, considerable amount of practice and education, teaching in India since my MSW in 1986 to onwards, I have been teaching. So I moved to US in 2000. So then since then, I've been in a higher education. So what happens is my learning and my professional experience is integrated because I have done work in India and also here, teaching, research, and practice. Though I am educator basically, but I am also practitioner. We practice through our education, teaching the students. Also, we directly do work. So everything is practice for me. Applying the knowledge to help our students and our communities, our clients. And I'm actively engaged in research projects in the communities. So I never lost contact with the community or the clients. So that way I am active as a practitioner, I'm active as a researcher, I'm active as an educator. Okay. So thanks to Srinivas for giving that kind of introduction. I simply started doing my work. So things all piled up at the end of 33 decades of professional experience. So naturally they pile up and there's so much to share. On this occasion, I wanted to share a few things that would help us to not only to celebrate what social work has offered to us and how it shaped itself, unfolded as a profession with a very humble, small beginnings with the people, those who wanted to help others. But in human history, always there has been a tendency, because human being is a social being, and we always wanted to help our neighbor, our friend, or people who are around us. So that is there in the human nature. And we are lucky to be in a profession that has embraced helping others, making them self-reliant and achieving social justice in a society and building communities and societies that are fair and inclusive for all. So we are doing day in and day out all this work as a professional social workers. And I commend all the social workers, whatever the label they are working with, and they deserve appreciation, they deserve recognition, and we need to tell ourselves that we are doing a great job helping communities, people across the world. And because of our contributions, we are making a huge difference. And that is something, we should remember. And we should recognize our work ourselves and support each other, appreciate, regardless of the boundaries that we have. Whether you are working in India, in Australia, or in UK, or in Canada or in the US. So we are all social workers. We have same foundation in a social worker knowledge, skills, and values and ethics. So what is common among us is the professional practice, ethics, and values. So wherever you are practicing, social work values and ethics guide us and tell us what we are supposed to do. As a professional, what are our boundaries? What we can do, what we cannot do as social workers, as responsible practitioners. And those are the things that we need to remember while we are engaged in our job roles, whatever they are, whether teaching or practice or doing research. I do have some slides. I want to share that. And once I share those slides, then I would allow some time to ask questions and all that. I will be able to share the screen, right? Srinivas?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead, sir.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can, sir.
Okay. So we are living in a global world now. So we are all connected, living in a global world. So social work profession in service of connected world community. So it's a world community because we are connected, living and sharing interests. The communication is happening every day across the world, and we are all connected. Therefore, it looks like a community. World is a community now. This year's theme in the US for social work month, social work celebrations is the time is right for social work. Of course, this is the theme coined by NASW for celebrating social work events, but time has been right for social workers. Not only for this year, but it has been right. Why time is right for social workers? Always we have some challenges to address, social issues, social problems that are facing our clients, communities, and people. So we always had live issues because human life is happening. We always have current issues. We are responding to that as social workers. And the beginnings of social work is also that. There are a lot of immigrants who are moving into United States. People started responding to those needs, those issues and immigrant problems those days in late 1700s. And that was when social work started making some beginnings and inroads. So what was why social workers came into being, or why it emerged as a profession? It is our approach to problems. And we started responding to the human issues, human problems, and improving the society. All this has pushed us to create a profession. Okay, over in a 20-25 years time, we had the beginnings of social work profession. First school of social work was established in India, and that's how the professional education was imparted to people, those who are interested in this line of work. So this response, as whenever we respond to the community issues and the social issues, so the time is right for us, because always we have social issues, social problems, and always time is right for us, not only for this year, 2022. Okay, I want to highlight why social work in the US is kind of more advanced in a sense where we are doing things that will appear to be more organized, thorough, and even in terms of education, what we do, we are intentional and deliberate what we want to do and how we want to prepare our students for certain roles, professional roles. So we are intentional and deliberate, and we design the curriculum and offer the educational programs to students, and therefore it happens the way we want. Okay, and there are significant organizations that have been created in the US, and these organizations are responsible for whatever the advancement that is happening in a social work profession here. One is NASW. There is a solid organization, professional organization, and we need to have, and we make up social work profession. Okay, so we have a strong organization here that is called a National Association of Social Workers, and it is developing the standards and enforcing the standards for professional practice. And we are guided by the Code of Ethics that was formulated a long time ago in 1963. And that code of ethics have been updated from time to time, but the social workers are expected to follow, and their practice needs to be consistent with the code of ethics. That is very important. We are a professional profession, so we are bound by certain ethics and standards, and that should be followed. Otherwise, anybody can do anything. So we have an educational background, and also we have a code of ethics that governs everybody. And then we have educational organizations, institutions. So in the US, you have accredited educational institutions, and there is a national level educational accreditation organization, and that guides social work education, that enforces the standards for education. Means the standards are needed to have a better social work profession. So those standards are revised from time to time, and the schools are accredited by Council on Social Work Education, so that the educational programs are run consistent with the standards. So in India, in a first school that was established in the US was 1898 in Columbia University, New York. And India, of course, Tata Institute of Social Sciences in 1936 was the first school that was established. Okay, in the US, I was talking about the standards, how the standards are developed and used in social work education. So there are 9 core competencies that are used to develop the curriculum and impart the curriculum, and then evaluate or assess how the professionals are being prepared and what they are learning, what they are not learning. So every single student who is receiving their degree, they are looked at in terms of outcomes, program outcomes, on these 9 competencies. The education is designed based on 9 competencies, and it is offered based on using these 9 competencies, and they are evaluated at the end whether that is happening or not. So there is an intentional process, and that is being conducted in an educational area. And then professional area, I already pointed out, NASW is the instrument that is helping the profession to move forward. So if you look at these 9 competencies, just I want to draw your attention to these 9 competencies. One is demonstrate ethical and professional behavior. This is one of the competencies. Every single social work student has to learn about this. And when they complete the program, they come to a reasonable level, a threshold level skill in this area, in every competency area. Engage in diversity and difference in practice. The third is advance human rights, social, economic, and environmental justice. The fourth competency is engage in practice informed research and research informed practice. So research is not one way. It is two-way process. So it goes from practice to research and research to practice. So that cycle has to be complete in order to be ethical, accountable, and evidence-based practice. Engage in policy practice. We are huge advocates of policy changes, and appropriate policies for the society to move on or to realize its vision. And competency 6, engage with the individuals, families, groups, organizations, and communities. In the US, 4 systems are recognized. And when we are doing the interventions, at these levels, the interventions happen. One is the individual level interventions, family level interventions, group level interventions, organizational level interventions, and community level interventions. Of course, the policy advocacy and research that happen all the time. Okay, at all these levels it happens. Okay, and so these last 4 competencies are: one is engagement with the clients, the client groups that I pointed out, 5 systems, and assess these 5 systems. Intervene means providing the interventions to these 5 at the 5 systems level, and then evaluate the practice. So there is an expectation of an individual practitioner or a professional organization or educational program to evaluate the outcomes. Okay, you say as a social worker, I have provided an intervention to treat a depression. Okay, whether the client has overcome depression, what is the outcome of your intervention? We need to evaluate that. If we don't evaluate, what happens? We are not accountable. We don't know what is the outcome of it. And you don't know how to improve also. If there are any gaps or inadequacies in the intervention, and you want to improve on when you are going to work with the next client, and there is no learning from your practice. So the evaluation is so important that to improve your practice, it is important. Also to see whether the client is really benefited from it, from your intervention or not, it is important. So therefore, evaluation goes with it. Any practice, engagement, assessment of the problems, and interventions and evaluation. These 4 areas go in together. So we assess, engage, assess, intervene, and evaluate individuals, families, groups, organizations, and communities. Okay, those are 9 competencies, and these are very critical for imparting social work education here. Okay, let me talk about briefly the unique strengths of social work profession. I'm very passionate about social work profession, though I wanted to become a doctor, but I happened to accidentally got into social work, but I never went out of it because it offered me what I want. So let me highlight how social work pioneers have articulated social work profession. They are visionaries, and they see 100 years later, we think what they have proposed, what they thought as a framework for professional practice is a sound and valid even today. I want to highlight that and give credit to our pioneers in social work and who had a vision how it should be practiced. Biopsychosocial systems. Okay, even today, how that is a living concept, I'll explain. Biological systems, psychological systems, social systems within the individual, and even in any system that you take, individual, family, group, community, and organization, they all have these 3 systems within biopsychosocial system. At an individual level, if you look at it. Now, we talked about environmental influences, how environment shapes the person, how environment has good and bad effects on the person. We talked about it, and we are taught as part of our education. And today, the medical science, advanced medical science, is talking about environmental factors. And how that is being, I'm part of a couple of grants and working with the typical scientists in a school of medicine on research. And I'm providing the behavioral and applied behavioral science knowledge to them, how the medical and health issues can be analyzed. And we are analyzing the effects of environmental factors or family factors or the cultural factors on those effects at the cellular level, genetic level, what impacts it has. So it is true that the environmental factors are not only affecting the individual at a surface level, but deeply into at a molecular level, a protein level. Okay, the science has gone that far. Not only the cellular, but a protein level, highest level, the micro level. And they're analyzing and linking it to environmental factors. Diabetes, it's at cellular level, what changes happens and how environment and behavioral lifestyles are contributing to changes at the cellular level. And we are analyzing and looking at it. So if I look at my concept, the framework that was given to me, as a student of social work and lifelong, I have been living with this framework and practicing it all through. And it is true. It is relevant. It is so valid. Proved again and again in the practice of many social workers all over the world, that a biopsychosocial systems is truly a very good framework for our practice. Okay, so we need to bank upon this framework and really apply the knowledge that we are gaining from different sources to understand the problems, analyze, assess the problems, and provide the interventions to the client systems. And a holistic system, we believe in that. So whole overall person and overall community and organizations, that there is a holistic approach. And a practice based on micro-macro continuum. So in India, mostly we have a lot of energy that is spent in a macro, because the macro problems are more prominent, more larger than the micro. And our energies are more invested there, because at macro level, if you bring about changes, more people will be benefited at the same time than individual interventions. But individual interventions are needed when the issues are so prominent and prevalent that the individual's functioning is affected because of the problems. So you need individual interventions, but also it's a macro level changes, macro level interventions can minimize the problems. If you proactively implement certain policies and interventions, you minimize the problems, prevent certain problems. And if even after implementing some preventive efforts, interventions, some individuals may still develop problems. And you can provide the interventions at a micro level. So what we are seeing is micro-macro continuum. It is not separate worlds, micro world and macro problems. There is a continuum. We are increasingly realizing that there is a continuum that is happening all the time when we look at the problems. And if you have embraced this approach, you will be able to do better as a social worker. Evidence-based practice. So evidence-based practice, when we look at whatever is published, whatever is in print is not evidence. So whatever is in print is not evidence. The evidence is that which is valid, produced through systematic research. And if you conduct the research or I conduct the research, we should be able to produce the same result or same outcomes. Then only it can be described as a valid evidence. If my reality is different from your reality, when we conduct the research, then it is not scientific. It is not passing in the scientific rigor test. So we need to develop those tools, those methodologies where we produce the valid results that could be used for practice. So people these days, it is so trendy that what is published in social media, what is published in a Wikipedia. For some people, Wikipedia is a scholar source. In the US, we don't even consider Wikipedia as a scholar resource. We discourage the students from using Wikipedia. But other places, that is the only source, and they're citing, because it is not a systematic research that has gone into the material that is published in Wikipedia. And social media also we share. Now social media is influencing a lot of things, but it is not verified information. So being evidence-based is very important for professional practice. And participatory principles in practice. And social work is one profession which has embraced the participatory approach. Client involvement right from the beginning. Whether you are working with an individual client or working with a group as a client system or a community or an organization, we are so much involved and engrossed in this approach. So I have not seen any social worker who says that no, client involvement is not important. Client's involvement is important every step of the way. And the next one is social justice. So equity and social justice, they are very important concepts for social workers, even from the days of my first semester itself. And what is the importance of social justice? When I was doing BSW, in the first semester itself, I got the message that social justice is important. So we train our students so deeply in terms of social justice. But social justice is now being expanded. It is not promoting the diversity, valuing the diversity. Diversity in all aspects. Gender, race, ethnicity, caste, religious orientation, different orientations, sexual orientations, all kinds of things. Because the world is made up of all kinds of diversities. Who are we to say, no, this is valuable diversity, this aspect is valuable, that the other aspect is not valuable? Do we have any right to say that? So diversity needs to be valued because it is there in the nature. And it is equity. So having equity is important because otherwise you will have large numbers of people who are living in poverty that is not sustainable for the society. See, I argue more actions and policy changes for poverty, not just to help the people. As you analyze the economy, get deeper into the economics of any society, you need to help them to become a sustainable society. You need to bring them on par with others in order to be a sustainable society. So it is a necessity for a society to bring people out of poverty, not just having some kind of equity and equality. So it is a necessity for the society to bring people out of poverty and uplift them. And inclusion. So equity and inclusion have to go hand in hand. Sometimes, any policies that we make, they should be all people, it should be open to all and include. But sometimes, you have the policies and legislations, but in our real life, we are not inclusive. So when you have a law and a law is not implemented, when you have a standard, but the standard is not followed. So that is also a problem. So we need to bridge the gap between what the policy says and what is the practice. And how we implement the policy is important. And when I was doing my master's degree, and we were doing a lot of studies on social policy. And a lot of discussions, in the discussions, a lot of people used to say, it is not a policy problem, it is implementation. I disagree with that. The policy needs to have an elaborate plan in the policy itself, how the policy should be implemented. There should be mechanisms that are designed as a part of the policy. If you don't think about how the policy can be implemented, the procedures and the mechanisms that are not outlined in the policy is not going to be implemented. There should be tools and ways, mechanisms to implement the policies. If some policies and some legislations are not implemented anywhere in the world, it is because the policy is not well thought out, well designed, and it is not, operational aspects are not thought about. And respect for clients' culture and faith. These days, I am hearing a lot of messages. So do social workers have authority and a right to question somebody's faith and culture? No, we respect all the individuals. The lessons that I was taught, we respect the individual regardless of their background, individual dignity and worth. Whether they have education, no education. Whether they have religion, no religion. Whether they have belong to this caste or that caste. We respect all the clients as individuals who have inherent worth. These are the very early lessons that I was taught. I never forget everything that I do. Yeah, we see the person as an individual regardless of their background. But we consider those aspects of individual reality for work, how to help the clients and make them successful and succeed, but not to discriminate, not to provide service or not to provide service or not to provide service. So this is very important. So we need to respect, we need to practice how to engage with culture and faith. We may work with the different faith groups, religious groups, but we have to follow our boundaries, ethical practice. And that is very important. And we are one profession who have a lot of say in our social aspects and changing the community, social changes. So we need to really organize ourselves more constructively, how to contribute to the society constructively than creating some dissonance in the society. So that is also goes along with the inclusion. So we have to be inclusive, respecting all cultures and all faiths. Advocacy for policy changes. So whatever we have today, it is coming from the past. So the policies were produced in the past, and then they were implemented, and we have a current reality. But always policies need change. Policies are not made forever. Policies are changed when the needs change, when the demographics change, when the society is changing, when new needs arise. So as the society is evolving or growing, changing, technology is changing, the policies should also change according to that. But there is a litmus test. What is a good policy? What is a bad policy? So it is based on the people's needs and choices, not the choices of the administrators or the policymakers and all that. So they have to be consistent with the societal expectations and choices. If we are not doing that, then the policies could be bad policies, and that can be counterproductive. A recognition of person and environment interaction. I already pointed out how important it is, this concept and framework is in social work practice. So these are the unique strengths that I consider in my professional experience that make social work as a distinct profession, very important profession. And based on these, we can make highly valuable, very valuable contributions to societies across the globe and also to the community where we live. So in the US, we have articulated some of the challenges before social work profession, and they are articulated in terms of grand challenges. But they maybe all societies have to do it. Social workers in different countries may have to articulate what are the major challenges based on the current practice and how we promote evidence-based practice in those areas, bringing social workers, educators, students, everyone together. It's a rallying everyone on the core issues or the important issues that are confronting the society, and then mobilizing people for action. So what we have 3 areas here, 12 grand challenges. After we formed the American Academy of Social Work and Social Welfare, it is similar to on the lines of Engineers Academy and Scientists Academy, Doctors Academies. So we also have in the US, American Academy of Social Work and Social Welfare. And that has articulated these 12 challenges. And there is a systematic work 10 years ago. And a systematic work is happening, evidence-based. We are producing the research, knowledge, and also that is being implemented, that is being shared with everyone, and everyone is open to join this kind of movement and work on these issues that are confronting the society. So at an individual and family level, so we have a goal of individual and family well-being and a strong social fabric and just society. These are the themes. Under that, you have 4 different challenges that are articulated, and the action is happening. People are working on that. So ensure healthy development of youth, close the health gap. In the US, there are health disparities between different ethnic groups, racial groups, and build healthy relationships to end violence. Advance long and productive lives, which covers the aging as well. So productive, the lifespan is increasing, and we want people to live healthy and have a productive lives as well. And under the second core, social fabric, strong social fabric, eradicate social isolation. And we are noticing not only elderly people because of loss of spouses or family members, and they are isolated and they are not well connected, but it is also happening in the US among youth also. They are not tied to so much with the family because of the emphasis on individual freedom and so on and so forth. After 18 years, they are independent, they can make their own decisions and all that. And that also contributes to social isolation. And also another form of isolation is people when they divorce and then they are singles. And if you look at the percentage of people as singles, and they are more. And that is something that also creates isolation. So we are human beings and social beings. We need relationships, a network of relationships for our own well-being, but also for our health. Okay, that is a reality. But people often forget that. And homelessness. And US is a rich country, but homeless problem prevails here. There's a percentage of people who are homeless and they live off the streets. Create social responses to changing environment. This is very important. So this is one thing, which will tell us whether as social workers, we are live to the situations or passive. We need to be responsive to the situations, not passive. And that's what our pioneers have done. Social workers across the country. They have responded to the situations and social problems. That's how they could build this profession. And just society. Eliminate racism or casteism. Because if you go into the details, there are no differences. Let me tell you one thing, science, what science says. Based on my research and all that, there is only 5% not even 5%, less than 5% variation in a human genetics, the entire, all the species. And humans, there is a less than 5% variation. So combine all the ethnicities, cultures, castes, religious groups across the world, there is a 5% genetic variation, all that. So we are talking 95% we are ignoring, but 5% we are focusing when we want to talk about the differences. And this 5% contributes to discrimination, oppression, all that. Okay, we need to spend our energy on something else. There are so many commonalities across the globe among the human beings. So that we need to focus on. Promote smart decarceration. The people, those who are in prison, and we need to have a programs. We have here, it's a big problem. Those who have served any sentence in the jail, when they come out, re-entry is a problem because they may not find employment, they may not find housing, they may not find support services. So they get marginalized after coming out of the prison. And it happens across the globe also. But this is an issue, big issue. And we have that as a problem, articulated as a problem. Reduce extreme economic inequality. Extreme economic inequality leads to reactions and bad responses also. So some of the violence is because of that. some of the events that are happening are because of extreme inequality. Because there is no hope. What would people do when there is no hope? They will do anything. Achieve equal opportunity and justice. If you want to have a just society, you need to direct your efforts for this. So you should have the policies to achieve opportunity, create opportunity for all, and also achieve justice. So this is a grand challenges map that we have, how we want to progress, creating a social impact from number of issues to having a social impact. Okay, I was talking about earlier, it is a movement on these issues. So see the map here, we have schools of social work, deans and directors. We have here practitioners, advocates, and policymakers. We have students here, faculty members, researchers, funders. So it's a movement, everyone is connected in making an impact on the 12 issues that I pointed out. It is a kind of action research. We are producing the knowledge, we are implementing the strategies. Okay, at the end, concluding, I want to highlight these points, takeaway message. So as we did in the past, we need to continue to respond to current and emerging social problems as social workers. And we need to be evidence-based. So just, somebody said something and all that. We need to produce evidence and follow the evidence. Use sound methodology in conducting research. So sometimes the research methodology is not strong and sound, and the results cannot be reliable. They cannot be valid. Valid in the sense, something, you have some knowledge, but can you make a policy based on that? Can you make a decision based on that? It's a questionable. You don't know. Unless you produce valid evidence, you cannot make decisions based on that. And being policy advocate. So we always need to be strong in terms of policy advocacy. Means we need to advocate for appropriate, just, and fair policies in a society so that we can build a better society. Being ethical and accountable in practice. That's very, very important. And if social workers don't follow the ethical and accountable practice, you may be doing a disservice to society. You may be helping, thinking that you are helping, but being ethical and accountable, then only you can contribute to society. That's my experience. I'm talking from my experience, how you can be stronger or effective social worker in practice and be a lifelong learner. So my education, my learning is not complete when I have taken MSW degree or BSW degree. My learning is not complete when I became an assistant professor. My learning was not complete when I became associate or a full professor. My learning is not complete after 30 years of professional practice. And my learning will never be complete even after many more years. What I am trying to emphasize is we need to be a learner continuously, and from what we do, we need to learn from, and what we produce in terms of knowledge, we need to learn from it, and whatever realities are that we are seeing in the society, we need to learn from that. So by being a continuous and lifelong learner, you can grow as a professional, you can become a stronger as a professional, and you can contribute more to the society, to the clients, and to a better world. Thank you all for listening to me. Appreciate for your attention, and I'll welcome any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Sudarshan sir, for your valuable and insightful, informative message on this occasion. It's awesome presentation, sir. It's really inspired a lot with your speech, especially by emphasizing on the major challenges which the contemporary society is facing, what kind of role that professional social work can play for the better future. As you said that, we the social workers, we should always be a lifelong learners, so that only we can enhance and we can develop and in longer runner and tackle all the problems. And within your speech, you are very much highlighted what are the unique strengths of the professional social workers, especially the way you are addressed in this regard the biopsychosocial system approach, and then holistic, the practice based on micro practice, and then evidence based practice. All these things really very helpful, and then present contemporary situation. Thank you for your wonderful speech on this occasion, sir. If any questions are there, I think yes, Balaraju, please.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Srinivas Redana. This is fantastic. I know what a audience. I mean, I feel like I'm in Loyola College and listening to Sudarshan sir basically, in 1994. Sir, thank you, Prof. Sudarshan. This is fantastic what you shared with us, what happened in US and how, the US Code of Ethics, being built in 1968, and then NASW and grand challenges and all that is great. So in the chat, Madhavi Garu and some of us are actually discussing what does this mean to Andhra? How can we really learn these lessons to strengthen social work in Andhra and actually go beyond? So could you let us know some thoughts, please?
I think, what we have learned from US or from even from India. So one thing that I notice is that what we have in US and what we don't have that much. There is some things are happening, but we need to do more. Yeah. One is a networking is not that much happening, and sharing. So we are living in isolated world within India, isolated communities, and we are not professionally engaged with each other. So what is happening in Andhra Pradesh, Telangana might not know, and what is happening in Delhi, other states might not know. And we need to have a national conferences, professional exchanges more frequently, so that we learn from each other and then strengthen our efforts and to strengthen the profession. So we need to safeguard the profession and strengthen the profession, because that all creates the opportunities for new generations to come into the profession and then continue the work that we have done during our generation and what people have done in the past generations. And that work can be continued. So the exchange is important, networking and exchange is important, and also collective working together to produce the knowledge, skills, policies that are necessary for continuation of our work and also serving the societies and communities.
Thank you, sir. In case if any further questions are there, I request the participants to put it in a chat box so that at the end we can take up the questions. Due to paucity of time, I request the participants to write your questions in the chat box so that we can take up at the end of the session. Thank you. Now, may I request the next speaker, the present, Dr. Balraj Niku is Assistant Professor, School of Social Work and Human Service, Thompson Rivers University, Canada. He is going to speak on disaster management and green social work. Now, may I request Dr. M. Sudhakar Babu, the Vice President of Professional Social Workers Association of Andhra Pradesh, to introduce Dr. Balraj Niku. So, Sudhakar Babu, please introduce Dr. Balraj.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
First of all, I thanks to giving this opportunity, our organizing committee, and as well as all participants. Thank you. Sir, my small request. I am not well. My students are presenting Dr. Balraju Nico biodata.
Oh, please
Please
go ahead.
accept it.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Hello. Hello.
Yes. Yes, Sudhakar Babu, ask your student to introduce.
Yes, Likita.
Okay,
Start
a
it.
very pleasant good evening, sir, to all over present in this presentation. Myself, Likita, and I'm going to present, and I'm the student of Dr. M. Sudhakar Babu, sir. Now, Dr. Balraju Nikku biodata. Dr. Balraju Nikku hails from an agricultural family from the state of Andhra Pradesh, India. He is currently serving as an assistant professor of social work and engaged with small urban, rural, and remote communities in British Columbia that are affected by frequent and intense wildfires and more recently the COVID-19 pandemic. His research focuses on way to comprehend and build community resilience to wildfires and other disasters. Particularly, Niku is investigating disaster and evacuation choice that individuals and communities make during and post wildfires. Another area of his current research is to investigate the occupational well-being and resilience of frontline health workers during and post-COVID-19. Using mixed methods and agent-based modeling and social network analytical tools to provide evidences based on policies, recommendation to health policymaker, being recognized scholar, and having linked experience in disaster management. Niku brings this research insights and skill to the current project on circular economy and the role for shared or maker space in CE discourse. Thank you for giving this opportunity.
Thank you, Nikita. Over to Balraj Nikku, please. Yes, Balraj, please go ahead.
Okay, is it audible now?
Yeah, it's audible.
Thank
Go
you.
ahead.
So I was thanking Likita for those kind words. I am from Andhra. Andariki namaskaram. Dr. Reddy, thank you for inviting me. Tulsi Garu, thank you for hosting this. This is great. I mean, we're all celebrating World Social Work Day. I think every day when we make changes in our clients' lives, I think it is a great day, Social Work Day. Thank you for this. In Andhra, we can think of maybe a Putti Sri Ramulu birthday as an Andhra Social Work Day. I mean, I have a lot of ideas when I was listening Prof. Sudarshan Garu, because it felt as if I'm listening to him in Loyola College, 20 years ago. So basically, I want to respect and maybe summarize my thoughts today. I thought Dr. Sanjeev, Prof. Sanjeev will speak in front of me, but I have this chance. Prof. Sanjeev, maaf kar do. Basically, when I looked at co-building a new eco-social world, I think this is what I started, questioning when Dr. Srinivas Reddy Anna asked me, can we do something? Actually, I haven't taken it seriously, this statement. Co-building, it's possible. You, me, and all 100 people on this website right now are building a new knowledge, new idea about social work, what we can do in Andhra, what we can do in India, what we can do in Canada, what we can do globally. I think we are already co-building this world, especially after COVID-19. I think we have started seeing this world very differently. So I don't have any doubt about co-building. We can do that. And we've been doing that, as Professor Sudarshan said, last 400 years as social workers, as social work as a human rights profession. But what I'm questioning is a new eco-social world. What does this means? These slogans are great. Garibi hatao. Did the Garibis gone from India? It's been from Indira, Gandhi times. It's still there. Ammavadi, is Ammavadi is really there in Andhra? So these are the statements we need to ask very critically. This is what I'm going to do in next 10 minutes. So I am questioning what is this new eco-social world that we are talking about. First of all, what is this new? And what is this eco-social world? Is it ecology and social work? Is it environment and social work? Is it ecological, justice and social justice? Why we are talking about ecology, after COVID-19 or climate change now? I'm wondering why, International Association of Schools of Social Work, International Federation of Social Workers, International Council on Social Work, all these global organizations have come together and brought this new idea called co-building a new eco-social world. I agree. I think there is a need for it. The time is right now, what Prof. Sudarshan said, but we need to ask these questions very critically. Are we not building eco-social world 400 years ago? Or as Prof. Sudarshan said, is this right time? I think this has been a right time forever. In Andhra, I think we've been doing, building a new Andhra, new Telangana, new coastal Andhra, new South, India, and even India for that matter. Recent political, Gujriwal and Aam Aadmi Party in Punjab tells that, governance is changing in India. So co-building a new eco-social world, I think is possible. Leaving no one behind. Are we leaving people behind? Yes, we are leaving people behind. COVID-19 tells us that, immigrants walking hundreds of miles have left behind. It's the same case in Andhra. I think those stone workers in Banjara Hills or in other places were left behind. People have not got, food to eat. So yes, people are leaving behind. I think as social workers, we need to agree. This is a reality. Maybe social work is not doing enough what we are supposed to do. So I'm a little pessimistic and I'm a little critical here because this is where I want to start my work. So what I want to kind of argue is co-building a new eco-social world is possible. It is needed. It is necessary. It is urgent. Leaving no behind is also can be possible. It's achievable. Again, all this can only be done when we are committed. Prof. Sudarshan has shown us, 9 core commitments of US. Out of 9, if you see 4 of them are engaged with the diversity, engaged with communities, engaged. I think this is the word is critical. We need to engage with each other. We need to engage with policymakers. We need to engage with Gujriwal. We need to engage with Modi. We need to engage with, Jagan. We need to engage with each other. We need to engage with, our clients. We need to engage with that one left behind in that last village. Are we doing that in social work? I doubt it. But I don't want to, give a pessimistic picture here. I want to kind of share what I have done. I'm not able to change the slides. I don't know why. Okay. So as you can see, leaving no one behind is possible. I think there is a global people summit that is coming up 29th June and 2nd July 22 online. We all should participate and tell the world what we are doing in Andhra and India and Canada and everywhere else. I think I request you, all of you to participate in this co-building, people summit. I think organizers can provide you the link. Again, if you look at the literature, there's a lot of work already been published. Environmental social work edited by Melgray from Australia, environmental justice as social work practice, Christina Erickson from Oxford, Lena Dominelli and myself and Huck Benku, we also came up with a Rutledge handbook on green social work, 2018. Lena Dominelli in the UK also have written the environmental crisis to environmental justice. So it's been written, and in Andhra also there is so much written about hudud and cyclones and many other disaster programs and poverty, and MVF Foundation talked about children rights. Somebody is making some nice red lines there. I like it. Border Party, please, underline those things. What is environmental justice? We know, environmental justice is nothing but, justice to even people who live in the coastal areas. People here live in hilly areas, the tribals. Everybody should have equity of life, equality of life, equity to education. Why is it important? Because in social work, worth and human dignity that we just talked about, how to ensure both social and environmental justice is what green social work is all about, like green politics. I think this is where maybe we need to discuss a little bit more in Andhra. We need to change our curriculum. We need to maybe change the way we teach in our classrooms. Maybe we need to bring a lot more social injustices that are happening. We've been doing that already: poverty, human trafficking, child labor, domestic violence, so much that we speak in classrooms. But we also need to bring in the environmental injustices. What's happening to the fishermen? What's happening to the hill people? What's happening to the basket makers? What's happening to the stone workers? What's happening to the daily wage workers? What kind of housing they live in? What kind of slums that we have created? How come people enjoy the best quality of life in Banjara Hills but not in Srikakulam? These inequities are real, and if we don't speak these environmental injustices in our classrooms, then I don't think we can build a new eco-social world. It's just a rhetoric. It's nice to talk about it on a World Social Work Day, but the things will not change on the ground. So I challenge you, in a way, each one of us, can we really bring the environmental justice in our classrooms so that, we can ensure both environmental justice and social justice, political justice, cultural justice to our classrooms, and then we can build a new eco-social world. It is possible, but I think there's a lot of integration that is needed. Prof. Sudarshan and Dr. Sanjay Bhatt will also talk about that. So one way to, kind of conceptualize the whole thing is green social work, which I already spoke. When you bring social justice, environmental justice, cultural justice, political justice to your classrooms, teaching and practice informed teaching, teaching informed practice, we can build the new eco-social world. This is how I do it. After coming to Canada 4 years ago, I started learning decolonizing. In Canada, the colonizer did not left. India also, colonized by British. Canada also colonized by, British and others. The only difference in India, the colonizer, the British left, but the colonial mentality is still with us. The way the politics, the way the feudalistic, otherwise, why Naxal movement? Why Naxal Bari in India? There is no need for Naxal movement, right? Because still we have, the bureaucracy or bureaucratic, the landlord and the, farmer, the oppressor, the systems are still there. It's colonial. We need to acknowledge. This is what I'm learning in Canada. The way we start the classrooms, we first acknowledge that TRU, the Thompson Rivers University, or Central University or Delhi University, all these universities are located on the lands of indigenous people. All this land to belong to indigenous people anyway. And we just captured all that land and happily, taken over their land, these resources, and getting all our degrees. We are forgetting the land and how this land belongs to whom. So in Canada, the first step to decolonize the mentality, decolonize the knowledge, systems. So we acknowledge that TRU is, located on these unceded territories of First Nations, basically tribals, and they allowed us to build this institution, and we are so grateful to them for having this opportunity to come together and discuss and create that knowledge, and perhaps follow indigenous ways of knowing and being, and respect those cultures. So basically, decolonize the mind, decolonize the way we teach, decolonize the bodies. So this is the first step. Are we doing this in our classrooms? I ask you. I'm learning now. I trained in Loyola College under Sudarshan sir and others. I had the opportunity to see a Delhi school and many other schools in India. Maybe we are not at there. I think I would strongly argue that we need to kind of bring these issues in the classrooms. Then again, I looked at Andhra and the kind of disasters that took place. There's so many disasters. There is a beautiful Andhra Pradesh State Disaster Management Authority. Tavita Garu, I know you have done a lot of work in Janmabhoomi and other, Ambedkar, again, people like you, I think should talk about how can we make, disasters, not disasters. Disasters are good sometimes. If you can bring these crisis opportunities to reformulate. For example, disasters come, all the houses are gone. When we build the next time the houses, we build them with stronger, It is not the disasters that kill people. It is the weak buildings that kill people, because we build these, houses very weak. They are not withstanding the disaster or the earthquakes or the tsunamis. If we build good housing, appropriate housing that can stand for earthquakes, tsunamis, and floods, it is not the disaster anymore. It is just a hazard. So as social workers, we have a unique opportunity to understand these disasters, stop them to become disasters in the first place. Poverty, it's a disaster. If we can stop, poverty, if we can reach out, the last man, last family, last woman in that last house, last village, I think poverty can be eradicated. We don't need another, Kejriwal to come up with an Aam Aadmi party, So what I'm arguing here is, how are we looking at disasters? How can we really, understand disasters, the way the inequities that disasters bring, one disaster, the whole family is gone, the whole generation is gone, the whole village is gone. How do we rebuild them? So basically, I approach this new eco-social world understanding disasters is one way. I'm not saying this is the only way, but this is how I'm progressing in my scholarship. I'm learning. As Prof. Sudarshan said, I was not talking about disasters when I got my MSW in Andhra. That time we were talking about community development, for example. But now I'm specializing disasters, displacements, immigration, refugees, all this in a bigger picture. I want to thank my teachers for giving me this broader view. I think this is another way that we can build this new eco-social world that we are talking about. Again, there's a lot of ways, there's a lot of money came in the name of disasters. Is this money, reached to the right people? There is other people, that is kind of published a model for boat accident prediction using geographical and topological data. This is Vasavi Garu is from an engineering college. I think we need to reach out these engineers, technologists, maybe medical people. Again, disasters, everybody loves a good disaster because media likes it, political people likes it, funding people likes it because they get the news, right? But social workers, we know what happens during the disasters. So I'm asking you, if you want to build a new Eco Andhra model, please reach out to others. This is what I have done in Nepal. I want to tell you a little bit story. I'm still learning. In Nepal, when I was there, from 2000 almost, I got married there. My children were born there. So I have the unique advantage of insider and outsider. And I understand Nepal as our neighboring country, actually a poorer country compared to us, but more resilient people there. You can see in that picture, Ruza, one of my social work students, we went to the community. We took a little 3D map. Of course, thanks to Durham people in the UK, they sent us this 3D model of that particular village. And we explained, this is how your village is looking like. This is where the disaster is coming. This is where the landslide is coming. This is how the earthquake happens. Why earthquake happens. So we talked about that cultural knowledge. They believe earthquakes happen because the whole world is on a machli, the chapa talamedemo bhumila untadi. So epudaithe chapa ela kaduluddo, when the fish moves that head, there is a earthquake. Yeah, that is great. I think there is an insight from this cultural knowledge. So how do we explain the science? Then we use egg as a earth, the mantle, the yellow thing inside. So basically what I'm saying here is we can kind of take the science. Professor Sudarshan also talked about how science is important to the local people, explain them what happens and learn from them what they understand about the science and the earthquakes and the floods, because they understand better than us, because they have gone through that. Combine this and you co-produce, co-test. This is something I think in social work we've been doing, but I think I want you to pay a little bit more attention. So, and there is an uneven local knowledge. Somebody say, no, there is no earth. It is on Ganesha. Somebody else will say, no, it is not Ganesha. It's something else. There are a lot of narrative stories. Not everything is true. Again, we can actually check and test. At the end of the day, local understanding and perception of earthquake hazards are different, but we can come up with a collective picture by using participatory research, action methodologies. As you can see, we ranked their priorities, those yellow sheets there. We used the local materials. This is not new, participatory rural appraisal. I think in Andhra, RDT does this. Many, interesting NGOs in Andhra, I think, have prominent, in research. So just engage with NGOs, just engage with, you are doing it. I'm asking you, do it more. This is what I have done in 2011 and 12. And that took to 2015 earthquakes. That time I was in Malaysia. I just escaped this earthquake, worked for my colleagues in Nepal. I mean, this is what I called, connecting and networking. I created a GoFund web page, and we kind of, created some $10,000. That money went back to, Nepal School of Social Work, which I'm associated with, and they spent that money in rescue and relief and reintegration and recovery. So this is 2015 earthquakes. Again, in Andhra, there were many earthquakes. In India, there were, Gujarat earthquake, Kashmir earthquake. Again, are social workers really involved? One reason why we are talking about new eco-social world, social workers are shying away from, disasters, earthquakes. We come only after the, disaster, when there is a mental health issue. So I'm asking you, that is not the time that we should come. We should prepare. We should go to the communities much early. I remember Prof. Sudarshan sent me to Gram Niyojan Kendra, Professor Mukherjee in Delhi. I've seen their work in those, Rajasthan and Delhi and other places, how they were working with snake charmers, how they were working Ghumantulok, the nomadic community. There is so much of, social work knowledge is already available. Tarun Bharat Sangh, Prof. Sanjay, So basically, there's a lot of knowledge available, but somehow I think, at least my feeling is that we are not bringing all that knowledge together and prepare our students how they can actually become social change agents when there is a hudud, or before even that. When I saw, look at that, coastal, multi-purpose cyclone shelters. I think there are hundreds of them. Have we visited them? Have we done a study on these multiple cyclone shelters? Who stays there? How are these being used? Are they really, resistant? Whether women and other children have a, private space when all of them are, put together in those shelters. Have we done any study? I don't think so. I have tried, searching, ANDHRA, social work, disasters, I haven't seen anything. So maybe I'm missing something. Please share it with me if you like. So basically what I'm saying, there is some missing puzzles here, So this is Nepal earthquake. This is how, all people came to, Kathmandu. Kathmandu became a tent city. This is what happens. Anything happens. All these urban centers are flooded. Recent, former protests in Punjab, Delhi, streets were flooded, So this is what happened. Social workers went into these, shelters, and we provided, some education, sanitary napkins for children, providing those safe spaces, disaster social work. I call it green social work because we also talked about children rights, women rights, right to space, right to protection, right to confidentiality. When you put these two things together, that's become green politics and green social work. And this is how you create an eco-social world. And I see the changes that I have seen are small, but I think this is what it is. People have lost their parents, villages, because the children and grandparents are left alone, and what kind of social work we do with these younger and also older generation. People became disabled. What kind of social work that we do with these, people with disabilities? They lost jobs, they lost, confidence, they lost their unique identities. What happens in disaster? A little, theory here. Pre-disaster, there are warning, threats, impacts. There is, when there is a disaster, there are a lot of army, media, volunteers, funding, honeymoon period. Everybody, likes it. Media, people think that we can manage, but after the cameras have gone, media is gone, there is silence. Nobody visits them. Like Amravati, nobody is talking about that capital in Andhra right now. After all those, 1 year, farmers movement, I don't think anybody is talking about Amravati movement. Why? Andhra social workers, what are you doing? So I would ask you those questions. I'm not criticizing you. I'm challenging you. I'm provoking you. I think that is how we can create this new eco-social world. This is a disillusionment period. People are lost. People are silent. People have mental health issues. This is where I think there's a lot of harm that happens. And if social workers involved, if it's lucky, if a government is active and organizations come back, we give all the support, we advocate, we provide justice, all kind of frameworks, then this new reconstruction happen. And it takes a long time, 10 years, 20 years, maybe before that is another disaster. Again, people are pushed back. So when we understand all this, this is what can happen. In Nepal, you can see those two pictures. All those artifacts, religious places have been destroyed, but community have come together with social work students, NGOs. Immediately after 1 month, they've restored the business, they've restored clean the whole places. People go to these religious places. This is where we derive our spirituality, our resilience, our sense of unique existence, the meaning for life. This is what I call it, new eco-social world. This is possible. Again, you can see that, the whole community, cleaned up the whole thing in a week. No NGOs came, no Red Cross came, no army came. The community cleaned up the whole thing. They put their life back. So again, I worked with a small community called Haku, which is 500 households, maybe during passage of time. Basically, what I'm saying is, research takes a lot of time. It's not that one paper that we produce and we leave that community. I've been working with this Haku community 2015, and I'm still working with them, like almost 7-9 years. Every time I go there, I learn something and I create something for them. So this is a small community. This is how they displaced. All those red dots are the households. They're all displaced to those blue dots, which is refugee kind of camps, internally displaced camps. Social workers, we placed the working there, and the government wants them to go back. And those green spots are the new, and we help them to choose their location, which is the location that good for them. We can create some kind of maps. We can give some signs, landscapes, flood prone areas, landslide areas. They also know, those. So they have decided. So this is how we can help them to become resilient. These kind of houses, they're being built now, very appropriate. There's a lot of work with children. People given a lot of emphasis to the education they lost. Through children, we can create a resilient community. So again, community-led recovery is what it is. So we are trying to do that short-term, medium-term, and long-term. And recovery can happen in many sectors: economy, environment, infrastructure, cultural, people, communities, politics. Again, disasters are shaking events. It shakes the whole social fabric for good and bad. So as social workers, if we really want to understand and build a new eco-social world where social and environmental justice is equally achieved, I think we need to be, think carefully and plan carefully a longer term. Again, there's a lot of literature. How do we do this? How do we recover in these sectors? I don't want to repeat this. Again, Prof. Sudarshan showed those core elements and the biopsychosocial, model. I would add, environmental model, cultural model to that. So by doing this, actually, we can bring back the community a little better, a little stronger, a little, on their own terms. This is the new Haku, village. This is how the buildings have been built. Again, there are issues with that. The blue, roof is like, Christians. Some Christian community have given those roofs. So we can identify who gave what, but our community is like putting together. There are issues. Women rights have been violated. People have lost jobs. But we started talking about these in advocacy in Sweden, in Australia, wherever you can go, with chief ministers, with disaster ministers, with social welfare. We can advocate through using social media, tweeting, Instagram, WhatsApp. Look at this, 100 people have come together now, So I think this is another part we can involve our students much more actively. This can be their projects. This can be their blog placement. This can be their, research papers. Yeah, there's so many ways that we can connect the real life challenges like disasters to the, timely learning. We, of course, published this book. I'm happy to share the links with you, where we have collected green social work practice all over the world, not only in India. Some 68 papers have come. So in a way, we are building a new framework in a way to look at social work practice in a different angle, where social justice and environmental justice matters. We published another paper, looked at the displacement patterns of these people. Why people displace to where? How long do they displace? Do they displace to the next village and come back? Or do they displace to Kathmandu and never wants to come back? Why? If you understand those choices, we can understand, disaster management a little better. So we are looking at a displacement pattern. This is one paper. We looked at, indigenous communities like Tamangs, like our tribals, Chenchu, Koya, and all those. So what is that they know, how they understand? So we came up with a new framework called Astaja or 8Ja. Jal is water, Jameen, land, Jara, Juri, plants, Janwar, animals, jungle, forest. So these indigenous people in this Haku community, Tamang community, wants to understand their world in these 8, ways. And by sitting with them, talking with them, okay, how do we improve water? What happened to the land? What happened to the medicinal plants? What happened to your animals? So then we can connect with different departments and kind of, replenish or regenerate or bring all this back into their lives. Another paper which talks about indigenous resilience. By doing this, we are documenting the scholarship of Haku people. World over, people read these stories. They may go to Haku and help these people. So this is how I think we can build a new eco-social world. There is no one size fits everybody. We need to think a 10-year, 20-year long-term plan. This is how I think we derive satisfaction as social work educators and practitioners. We bring a little change. We brought another funding to work with the human rights activists who can go and help these mothers associations, children clubs, talk about disaster act, their role in the disaster. Children are not disaster passive beneficiaries, but active change agents, because children they speak truth. They don't manipulate the data. They don't tell a different story just for the funding. So working with children, making them disaster resilient communities, I think you save a generation. So we are funding that. There's another paper coming on that. We are talking about the land rights now, how women also should have equal land right, which was not the case in Nepal. Again, different classification of land. So basically what I'm showing you here is you start from somewhere and you kind of get into that multiple realities of the life and kind of, do research and do, practice with them. And then we understand the whole world. And that's how I think we can create a new eco-social world. Look at those two children. Each one of them lost one leg, but together they can walk. So this is what I understand, building a new eco-social world. It takes a lot more time, a lot more energy, a lot more, critical, thinking. But otherwise, if you don't all do all this, it just become a rhetoric, a slogan, and nice, on a World Social Work Day, we can forget about it. And then we can come back to the next year. They can talk about the same thing. So this is where I leave, and I'm happy that I have this opportunity to share some of these ideas with you. I'm committed. If you want to do something in Andhra and India, we are happy to work with you. I work in Canada. I live in India every day. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Balraj Nikku, for your wonderful, insightful, and lucid presentation on how we should build a new eco-social world. And speaking on green social work in the present situation, changing, and especially the way you said that in Andhra especially we need to change the curriculum, practice oriented, and then keeping this in regard. This in India, as per the new education policy 2020, the government of Andhra also is very much interested to adopt this new education policy 2000. In this regard, ours, the Sri Krishnadevara University, Anantapur, is the first and foremost university is adopting a new course, new syllabus, framing new syllabus in this connection. Today also we had a board of studies meeting, and then we are discussing in this regard how this social work curriculum needs to be changed and then linked up with the present situation. So, and then thank you for sharing your views on in this regard. Thank you, Dr. Balraj Nikku. Thank you. Now, as I told you that, with regard to the question and answers, we will take up these question and answers at the end of the session. So thank you. Now, may I request now next session, we are very happy to have with us Professor Sanjay Bhatt sir from Delhi School of Social Work, New Delhi. He is going to speak with us on social work education in India, present and future. Now, I request Dr. Trimurti Rao, Joint Secretary of this association, to introduce Professor Sanjay Bhatt sir. Over to Trimurti Rao sir.
Unmute. Okay. Very good evening to all the learned professors and delegates and participants. Special thanks to Professor Lakshmipati Raj Garu and my colleague Professor Venkateswara Garu. This is Dr. M. Trimurti Rao, Associate Professor, Department of Sociology and Social Work, Acharya Nagarjuna University. It is my great pleasure and immense pleasure to introduce Professor Sanjay Bhatt, a senior professor in social work. Professor Sanjay Bhatt has received a master's and doctorate degree in social work from Lucknow. He is the senior professor of social work at the Delhi School of Social Work, University of Delhi, since 2001. He has been in teaching, research, and a profession for 44 years. He is a social work educator, trainer, and a development consultant. Professor Bhatt has also taught in the Department of Social Work at the University of Lucknow, MG Kashi Vidyapeeth, Varanasi, and Kurukshetra University, and Chitrakoot Gramodaya Vishwavidyalaya, and also Professor Sanjay Bhatt committed to bridging the gap between social work education and practice. His experiments with the different teaching methodologies, engages himself in research in the welfare and development field, and works with the grassroots organizations. His areas of interest are social work education, social legislation, social security, occupational social work, decent work, drug dependence, HIV/AIDS environment, and people's movement. Under Professor Sanjay Bhatt, under his research supervision, 30 research scholars have received PhD degrees ranging from HR field and social development. Professor Bhatt has written 11 books, contributed chapters in 25 books, about 80 research papers, and 6 occasional monographs, and conducted dozen of evaluate studies for national and international organizations. He has attended a significant number of national and international seminars and conferences. He has delivered many special lectures, including first K.R. Narayan Memorial Lecture at Bundelkhand University and 30th Tara Ali Beg Memorial Lecture organized by SOS Villages of India, and fourth special lecture on CSR in the Indian context in National CSR Convention at Delhi. His thesis 4 Ws: water, work, waste, and women. In development paradigm, he is widely accepted in the academic fraternity. Professor Bhatt has involved in various movements like the Chipko movement and Waters Education Movement, child rights, reforms in international financial institutions, drug addiction, and he has published a resource book in social work education in India. He has recently published a book on life under COVID 2019 lockdown. Professor Bhatt has enriched the academic life of higher education. He has been a member of various committees appointed by UGC, ICSSR, Planning Commission, various departments and ministries of Government of India and other state governments. He worked as a member and secretary of PRT appointed by NAC. He is also associated with a number of social movements and civil society organizations in various capacities like Center for Community Economics and Development Consultant Society at Jaipur and Association of Schools of Social Work in India. Professor Sanjay is also one of the founder members of Delhi-based advocacy groups working for human rights and social justice. Soham, an NGO working with deprived children in Himachal Pradesh. Professor Bhatt has nurtured the National Association of Professional Social Workers in India since its inception and served as immediate past president 2013 to 2020. Professor Sanjay Bhatt has been served many international organizations such as executive member of International Committee of NGO Forum and ADB based in the Philippines during the years 2004 and 2006. As Secretary of South Asia Partnership of Pswaap India, immediate past president of South Asia International Council of Social Welfare, Alliance Ambassador to India, Global Social Service Workforce Alliance. And also Professor Bhatt has widely traveled in India as well as other countries like UK, Australia, South Africa, France, Canada, Philippines, Kenya, Thailand, Indonesia, Hong Kong, Singapore, Sweden, and Nepal. Presently, Professor Sanjay Bhatt is the national convener of the National Campaign Committee to enact legislation for the National Council for Social Work Education in India. It is a great privilege to me, sir. Introduce yourself, and I am also very impressed with your long biodata. Your long biodata is you make it to precise manner because of other achievements also included in the biodata. Due to the time constant, I introduced the brief biodata of Professor, great Professor Sanjay Bhatt ji.
Thank you, Dr. Trimurti Rao,
Thank
sir,
you.
for giving introduction of Professor Sanjay Bhatt.
Uh,
So I thank you for you. Now I'm over to Professor Sanjay Bhatt, sir. Please.
Thank you. The President of Professional Social Workers Association of Andhra Pradesh, Dr. Tulsi, its office bearers, Dr. Reddy, Mr. Rao, its executive members, my co-speakers, Professor Sudarshan Paspuleti and Dr. Balaraju Nikku, Senior Professor M. Lakshmipati Raju, and many participants, in fact, the brothers and sisters of my own professional community. I'm really thrilled to be a part of the first event, the first big event organized by Andhra Pradesh Association. Dr. Rao, when presented my biodata, I thought I will request Dr. Rao to send this biodata to me so that I will keep it in my box. And when you have a long biodata by organizers, definitely there are many hopes to prove yourself that this is your biodata. In any way, on the lighter note, the social work in India, the present is growing and future is bright. When I'm making this statement, I'm fully aware that as a senior social work educator of this great country, I'm putting these words with a responsibility. And in past few years, I did research, try to find out the statement which I said. In 2015, I brought out a book, Social Work Education in India, a resource book, where I compiled many documents, almost all kind of documents by Government of India in one book, and also tried to prepare a directory of social work educational institutions in the country. And according to that directory, in 2015, there were 526 social work educational institutions, which I have named. So it's no guess, institutions which are named with the addresses. Of course, many of them have refused to share the information, and they have their own reasons not to share the information, which some of the reasons were very surprising, and I may not like to discuss here, but will share with you sometime on some other forum. Recently, I was trying to discover that how many social workers in this country. So I got a data mine. While I was doing data mining, I got a mine, Government of India Mint, 10 years data of social work enrollment, which I have published in a paper, and it is available everywhere. I will give you the recent data, 2019-20, and this data is not secret. You can also access. It is All India Survey on Higher Education by Ministry of Education, Government of India. The only thing I tried to compile the entire data which they have brought, in different formats and in different tables. So I try to bring those data in different format, and you will be surprised to know that 1,10,421 students are enrolled in 1 year in BSW and MSW program in this country. So my statement that social work is growing is not a hyperbole. And this growth in last 10 years has constantly been taking place. 500 times in case of BSW program. 53,407 students enrolled in MSW and 56,954 students enrolled into the BSW program. Of course, it includes the distance mode of education student, but that amount is not very higher. Hardly 18-19% students comes from the distance mode of education. And many of my friends have worry about the quality of education when distance mode of education is producing social workers. I used to tell them, don't worry, because their passing percentage is even less, very less, 17 to 18%. Now, having said this, presenting this data, I asked once the UGC how many universities. 181 universities, which I obtained through one of the questions raised in the parliament. Then the government gave this figure that 181 universities offering the courses in social work. And I believe that this data makes us one of the biggest stakeholder in the social work education and profession globally. Maybe second or third in the global scenario where we are offering and we are producing large number of social work students. This data is mind-boggling and it is indicating a new trend. 2007 to 2013, 18 new central universities were opened. 12 central universities has opened social work department. Most of the private universities are trying to take the social work student. So when I say the future is bright, you will be requiring more and more social work. There are 18 ministries. I can name those ministries where the students of social work being employed. And fortunately, this new century, 2001 onward, we have too many things into the social work education. 2005, 2004, NAC has prepared a separate document how to assess social work schools or social work colleges. So National Accreditation and Assessment Board has created a new document, 2004. 2005, the biggest distance mode education university, IGNOU, has created a school of social work, which has started giving certificate to doctorate. Many of my friends do not like the idea of having social work through distance mode, as they feel that it has diluted the social work somewhere. But friends, you will be surprised to know that each student is supposed to do field work under a professionally trained social workers to whom you people have trained. So if they are not producing field work of good quality, somewhere we are also faulty. Then we have a LOCF, learning outcome based framework developed by UGC for undergraduate courses in 2016-18. Then we have a national education policy, and national education policy first time provides opportunity for the trained social workers. Look at the national education policy. It says that at a school level, the government will create a school complex. And this school complex will be managed by a trained social worker. They didn't say professionally qualified social worker, because you know government has some reservations using professional word for social workers. But if this clause is implemented in time to come, probably we will have 500,000 jobs for social work students, for which our social work educational institution is neither aware nor prepared. But jobs are waiting for you. It's up to us. And it creates responsibility on national associations of professional social workers as well as state associations like you. Let's not miss this opportunity. Maybe social work educational institutions have to start thinking in terms of school social work as one of the area. And believe me, if you are going to start giving services at a school level, you are building the human resource of this country from childhood. And friends, you will be surprised to know that there are few states in India where social work is now started at the school level. One is in the top of the country, Jammu Kashmir, and another at the down, Kerala. Two are informed. But you will be also surprised to know in these 10 years, the government of Uttar Pradesh has appointed an assistant professor of social work in their DIET. DIET is a unit, District Institute of Educational, Technology. I may be somehow I may be wrong also in interpretation, but DIET is a district level institution where school teachers are being trained. So in all the DIETs, all district level, they have an institute and they have three teachers, 3 lecturers, assistant professor, and one of them comes from the social work. 73 assistant professors appointed for this. I'm giving you the dimension from where we will be coming. The water project, Rajiv Gandhi Water Mission, community organizing aspect looked after by the social workers. So friends, social work provide in last 20 years, if you will look at a very new dimension, which has taken away from you from problem solving approach to empowering and emancipation. The National Association of Professional Social Workers came out with a definition, Indian definition of professional social work. It came out with code of ethics. Of course, we have borrowed code of ethics from many countries. Then we started having a national level conference, Indian Social Work Congress. 9 edition has been taken place. 10th is to be held in Baroda in November. So last 10 years, we have created a platform where social work educators and practitioners are meeting. Not only this, we have also started recognizing the contribution of social work educator, social work practitioner, and giving them Lifetime Achievement Award. Probably first of its kind in the social work fraternity. And we have also started an award for the Indian who has made a dent at the global level. So we have recognized the Indians, those who have made professional social work enriched outside India. 11 people have been recognized, right from S.K. Khindukar to Bal Gopal, Professor Bal Gopal, Professor Pranay, long list. Venkat Pulla sir from Australia. But I'm trying to say that scenario of professional social work is changing. If I don't mention one unforeseen area where many of you may not be aware, Transplant Organ Act. We have an act for transplant organ. Now, if any institute of any medical institute or hospital want to do this, they have to appoint a social worker. Very recently, when we have another act, the Allied Services and Hospital Act, now that's called National Commission of Hospital and Other Allied Services. The medical social worker, the clinical social worker, and professional social workers, they have won the battle of recognition and they will come under a behavioral council. So the beginning has taken place. From last 20 or more months, we have started an advocacy campaign and awareness program for our own people to establish the National Council for Social Work Education. Everybody believed that council will be panacea for all ills of the social work education and practice. And maybe, I don't know. Then when we have started drafting this bill, we have identified what kind of function this council will do. All these documents are available on NAPSWI website. Very recently, we have started another venture. National Social Work Week along with World Social Work Day. So World Social Work Day became popular in last 5-6 years only in India. And from last 3 years, we are making a National Social Work Week. The first school of social work on independent India was established on 15th August 1947, Kashi Vidyapeeth, Varanasi. So not saying 1936 Tata Institute, I'm talking of independent India. And before independence, we have only 2 schools of social work, Tata Institute and Delhi School of Social Work. So we recognized that independent India, and let's have a National Social Work Week, which is a 7 days long, and the 7th day we make the National Social Work Day, synonym to Indian Social Work Day. And the idea is same. World Social Work Day next year will complete 40 years. It was started in 1983. And World Social Work Day, as you know, that it has to be the 3rd Tuesday. However, I could not search the reason of having 3rd Tuesday. Maybe somewhat governed by the Hanumanji of India. I don't know. I tried to search. I wrote an article on this World Social Work Day. That is with me and it has been published. So that article is with me and I have explained why and how World Social Work Day should be celebrated. And the global agenda from 2012 onwards, every 2 years coming with a new theme. And I think Balaraju Nikku and Dr. Sudarshan are very well aware about that, the whole process. When the IASSW and IFSW also joined this as a primary stakeholder. And only in 2012 onwards, that World Social Work Day started becoming a bigger event. And India has played its own role. And it is again playing today another role through Andhra Pradesh Association. So friend, the last 2 decades have been very hectic. When we have this National Council for Social Work Education bill, and when we made the consultation countrywide, we have organized more than 200 webinars. Approach to the large number of community. But government goes with its speed. I don't have many political connects. But you know what I have read in the community organization process. So I tried to organize the community. And social action begin. Now you go anywhere in any ministry, everybody knows that there is a group of social workers who is knocking and who is making sound to have a National Council on Social Work Education. That's what we wanted to do. I'm sure my coming generations will take it up. We do not know how long we have to fight. But I will put some of the challenges which we have. While we were doing this advocacy, we realized that there is a need to put all this data into one book. So we prepared an awareness advocacy toolkit. It is again available on the NAPSWI website. You can download it. And a large number of data is being generated from this advocacy. Then again, when we were doing this exercise, we came to know that national education policy has to be implemented in Indian universities from July 2022. 3 months more. And many of us, we are struggling how to structure the undergraduate program. Multiple entry, multiple exits, multidisciplinary, field work, and credit system. So a group voluntarily developed a national curriculum framework. A 74-page document we have prepared. Any department can consult it, and we have just 24 hours away to finalize it, and you will find it on the NAPSWI website. Why I was making these efforts to you? Because I want that the Professional Social Work Association of Andhra Pradesh should take this line of action in Andhra Pradesh. I am a past president of NAPSWI, but I'm working for them as a consultant also and as a voluntary member. I assure you that you want any kind of association, any kind of help, I can assure you from the NAPSWI side. The biggest problem with the social workers is that we are not self-confident about our own data. I mean, I can ask you how many teachers in the Andhra Pradesh teaching, what is their status? We don't have a data. Maharashtra, I collected some data, 585 teachers, 167 positions are vacant. Do we have a data for Andhra Pradesh? Let's collect this data for social work. How many students enrolled every year in Andhra Pradesh, right from undergraduation to the PhD? How many schools of social works are giving less than minimum wages to our teachers? Let's bring it on the document. That is what the required. How long we will hide the things and we will say goody things for social work and will not raise the issues which affect us and which makes us vulnerable in eyes of others. That is the challenge. That should be the commitment on the World Social Work Day. You know, the self-image, Dr. Pasupati was telling the 9 competencies. And one of them is the professionalism and your professional identity. How to create that professional identity? You know, I don't blame to my predecessors and my seniors, because till 2000 in this country, there were 67 schools of social work. They were not requiring too much. They were happy with whatever, you know, government was doing. But now you have a bigger responsibility. 1 lakh students joining you every year. This Sanjay Bhatt is not saying, All India Survey on Higher Education is speaking. I think here is the catch for the future. Another point I would like to make it, to think it broadly. We are a profession. Whether government accept or do not accept, I don't care. We are a profession because of certain characteristic feature. And we compete with any other human service profession. So we should examine our profession where we are missing. When 100 doctors, MBBS doctors are produced, 60% doctors, they go for private practice. 40% go to the government job. When 100 lawyers are being produced by law schools, 90% lawyers go for private practice, 10% go for service industry. When 100 nurses are being produced, 70% goes to the organized sector, 70 to 80, and 20% go to the private system. What is the situation with social work? When 100 social workers are produced, 95 of them are looking for jobs, employment. Hardly 5 make a venture for self-employment, for opening an NGO, for opening a family counseling center, for opening a drug de-addiction center. Why private practice has not been a paramount importance for us? When the whole India is talking of the startup, where are social work startups? How long we will keep ourselves away from the technology? Friends, I must say that next 20 years, there will be two propellant of the entire development, not only India, everywhere. One is a technology and another is a demography. Demography we cannot control, but technology we can learn. India is going to be the country of young people. After Russia and Ukraine war, the entire Europe is going to face the problem of migrants. Everywhere in the world, we are going to face the price of the fuel. We have already started feeling heat in India. These are our concerns. This should be our concern, not rhetorics. We support SDG. We do not know how to support SDG, but we support SDG. We are climate change agent. You know, slogans will not work. Slogans can give you momentum. But what will work? The area, the methodology. Very recently, Corona has gone. COVID-19 we have seen. I have edited a book, Life Under Lockdown, trying to see the life, how we lived in the lockdown, what new we have done. You know, my study says that what we could realize, that family has been one institution which have taken all brunt of the COVID-19, and all other institutions, either they disappeared or they became non-functional. Religion stopped working. Temple was closed. Mosque was closed. Church was closed. Education, institutions were closed. Government, feeling themselves vulnerable. All slogans, all prevention, where it was indicating, stay home, stay safe. Home quarantine. Home isolation. Everything bogged down on the home or family. Why social work can't think to add new methods in their dictionary? Why we have to believe only in 3 methods? Why in 80 years we could not research a method? And I propose that there should be a 4th method, working with families, working with individuals, working with groups, working with families, working with communities. Similarly, we have a method to bring crowd or bring people or organize people, social action. But do we have a method to manage the crowd, like which gathered in Bombay? Many migrant laborers started running to their villages. Again, they were going to their homes, not to villages, because they were finding rescue. When I was working with them, one migrant laborer told me, "Sir, we have to die. So why to die in Bombay? We'll go and die in my village." Drive the analysis out of this statement, how it is operating. So friends, my submission to you is that this association should function. We teach in social work how to make groups, how to organize. We teach trade union, we teach cooperative, we teach SHG. We also teach trade unionism. But we do not know how to run a professional association. In India, you will be surprised to know my another document is coming on Professionals Association of Social Work in India. Maybe within 15 days or 1 year, 1 month, this document will be released. You will be surprised to know that we have 4 national level organizations and 17 state level associations, beside many alumni associations, all fragmented. So what Dr. Sudarshan has said, the networking, may be one answer. We teach the skill of networking, but we don't apply. This is the time when we have to apply. Creating an organization is very easy. Running an organization is equally difficult. Anyhow, we have the crab mentality somewhere, sometime in our minds. So if somebody is becoming president and going up in the association, instead of looking at his effort, the crab mentality start operating, pulling down. So friends, those who are office bearers, this will work. But ultimately, if you will work, people will recognize you. I'm just giving you my, maybe you call it sermons, and at the fag end of my career, probably I can give this sermon, No, but my advice to you, keep your organization as much as transparent you can. Take the decision, sometimes undemocratic also, but for the sake of fraternity, for the sake of your institution. Make your visibility every day. Now, every 26th of every month, there should be one program of Andhra Pradesh Association. Only then you will be aligned, not one program. 99 people joined us, now 68. I know this is a tough time, dinner time. But if you are sending message, this will go across. Friends, my last advice to you is that if you have organized, if you have decided to make the organization, running the organization, take it as a challenge. And identify the things which your state is requiring. And without bothering, start doing it. Collect as much as authentic data you can. Because ultimately at the end, when you will go on the discussion table, this data will help you. I'm really thankful to the organizers. They gave me an opportunity to express myself. I'm really thankful and grateful to all of you. And I'm really enlightened by my 2 co-speakers. I can assure them that many issues which they have raised, the work in India is going on. But the only problem is to making its visibility. Environment, 2001 earthquake. Delhi School of Social Work has done pioneering work. 1992 Uttarakhand earthquake. 1997 Kashmir earthquake. Many schools of social work, and recently we have published a book, Professional Social Work Response to COVID-19. Across the country, Professor Devi Prasad led that study and NAPSWI has published it. It is available on the NAPSWI website. You can download it. If you want, you can write to me. I can send you a copy to you. all three categories of social workers in individual capacity, as a schools of social work, and as a CSO. What we have done into the second wave, we try to. I think in every event, we need to bring it for mutual learning, for mutual appreciation, for enriching the indigenous knowledge base. We have enough material. Only teaching from Ramayana and Gita is not indigenous. What day to day an Indian is realizing and experiencing, that experiences and learning from those experiences is indigenous. So friends, I will not take much time. I believe I have taken my time of my allotted to me. And I'm really thankful to my friends, and I'm thankful to both of my co-speaker, my friend Bala Nikku and Sudarshan ji. I have not many interactions with him, but as an alumni of Delhi School of Social Work, I know him very well and I respect his scholarship. Thank you very much, everyone. And thank you, Dr. Rao, for introducing me. And I hope that this association will go miles and will create milestones. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your blessings. Thank you, Professor Sanjay Bhatt, sir, for your excellent speech, especially with the way you gave us the data and how the social work profession in India is going, and the future is great. You said, really hats off to you for speaking with the data, what you have worked a lot in this. But when it comes to the jobs for this professional social workers, as you said, exactly, the jobs are not at all a problem. Only thing is that the skills are lacking with the students. But as you said, that the challenges which are facing by these social work associations, especially this course itself, there are many hurdles in ANDHRA. As you know that, lack of admissions. In fact, this year also, BSW is no more, sir. No university is offering except ANDHRA University. Few colleges they are offering, that too with limited seats. Then, with regard to the ANDHRA, total 7 universities they are offering, sir. MSWs only MSW courses. But that too, the strength is very poor, very meager. Reason is that, you all know that, NAPSP also has worked a lot in this regard. But compared to South India, North India is doing better. Reason maybe the National Association is working hard, and then at the state level associations, as you said, that 17 state associations are also, especially they might be having a lot of efforts. But when compared to this North India, South India, only the Kerala, as you said, that Kerala and Tamil Nadu, they are doing better, sir. But Karnataka and Andhra, the growth is not that much positive, sir. Last couple of years onwards. So thank you, sir, for your excellent presentation on the social work profession in India and how the future for this professional social work. Thank you, sir. Now, the session is open for the questions. If any questions are there, now they can raise. Yes, already there are certain questions in the chat box.
I think let me ask a question for Dr. Bhatt. So you mentioned that there are 17 chapters, right now, out of 30 plus states. Now, the states are increasing in India, 29 the last one, but I don't know any other state is created. But I think what is impediment in creating a state level or chapters. At least there should be one school of social work or one department in a state, particular state, and that could be a center hub for the organization or a chapter. So what is the real problem there? Can I understand?
Dr. Sudarshan, you know India. When you left India, at that time, social work was in a completely, silent mode.
Right.
Now
Yeah.
it has come into little bit resounding mode. If I don't, I will not say revolutionary mode, but now it is making noise. And that time, probably my friends will forgive me, we have a complacency factor. NAPSWI has not created any chapter in any state. NAPSWI has created an Indian network of professional association to secure the place in IFSW. Only 5 years back, India got its flag on the IFSW screen. And that was my desire. So I thought that let me organize 4 or 5 associations, and we created an Indian network of professional association. Most of the state associations are not working in their strength. Now in last 3-4 years, there is a motivation. Kerala has started doing very well. Karnataka has started doing very well. Uttar Pradesh having 31 colleges of schools of social work, not doing anything. Northeast has started doing very well. Jammu and Kashmir has only 2 schools of social work. They have organized themselves. So the whole idea of organizing is voluntary. And people do not find time to give it. And any organization of this nature requires time. Second thing is that I have heard many of my friends saying what will happen. We are not good in numbers, and in democracy, numbers matters. And that word hit me, and then I started collecting numbers. You will be surprised, we are somewhere a big force, 5 lakhs to 8 lakhs professionally qualified social workers in this country. But none of the association have a 5-digit membership. I'm sure out of the 64 listeners or participants of this profession, this program, there will be 6 or 7 members only. I normally challenge this data into these programs. I said, become a member of any organization, but be part of a professional organization, because when you say profession, professional association is one important characteristic feature. You should link yourself. And this is a cyclic theory, Dr. Sudarshan. We are not organized because our associations are not doing good work. Associations are not offering the value of their membership. Therefore, people do not join them. So it is in a cyclic. At NAPSWI, we have started doing it. We said discounted registration in the Social Work Congress. Now, 9 Congress, 500 rupees discount, 4,500 you earned, and you paid only 3,000 rupees for life membership. So when you come out with this kind of argument, only people understand its significance. I don't believe that people are not willing to pay 3,000 rupees. It's not question of money. It's question of the value. Whether an association delivers the goods and it satisfies your need of associating. There we have lacked.
Yeah. I think to maintain the profession, to continue the profession, there is a need for coming together and supporting the association at the national level and at the state level. Because unless there is a profession, you are not there and we are not there. So we have a responsibility to maintain and continue the profession, not only in the interest of the future generations of our clients or the people, but also for our professional interests, because both are inseparable. Because if you have a profession, you can serve the society. If you don't have the profession, you can't. So sustaining it is very important. And I think I can discuss sometime of the webinar, some strategies and how it can be accomplished. So at least, let me work with my colleagues in Andhra and Telangana to see that we have a stronger associations. Maybe next year when we celebrate the Social Work Day, we have a better organizations here.
Okay, sir.
I invite you all to be part of Third National Social Work Week and be a partner into it. Organize as many as activities you can do in the Andhra Pradesh. This
Sure, sir.
Visibility.
Sure, definitely we'll do it, sir.
And I tell you, I have deliberately chosen not to be third time contesting NAPSV election. R.R. Singh, I will recall Professor R.R. Singh, he told me, Sanjay, if you will leave the presidency, this association will die. I said, sir, this should not be the criteria. If it is dying because I am leaving, it should die. Organizations should not be known by individuals' names. They are a joint property and they should be run by that.
Yes,
and when I decided not to contest, there were contenders who came out and they contested it. So I believe that organizations have their own life. They have their own health. They have their own cycle, and we have to support that.
Definitely, sir. Thank you. The Andhra Association, definitely it will strive for the achievements of all these things. Sir, definitely will do our level best, sir. Thank you, sir. Next, there is one question in the chat box to our colleague Balraj Niku. What are the difference between disaster management and disaster preparedness, man-made disasters? How it's controlled? Is the question.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Reddy. Yeah, if I understand this question, I haven't seen that question in the chat. There's no natural disasters, there are natural hazards. What is the difference between a hazard and a disaster? Telugulo cheppalante hazard ante enti, disaster ante enti. For example, in the US or in Canada, to be known or to be reported as a disaster, it has to be a bigger calamity beyond the capacity of smaller communities. Then it will become a disaster. Otherwise, it's a hazard. For example, let's say in Japan, there is always a earthquake. All the time, they don't declare it as a disaster. As long as the local communities can withstand, they can recover, they can do some response on their own without the help of others, it's a hazard. It's not a disaster. COVID-19 is a pandemic or calamity. So hazard, when we don't manage it, it's overwhelming. It's we need other supports. It becomes a disaster. Disasters becomes calamities. Calamities becomes pandemics. It goes on like that. So there are different stages of the same thing that we could give different names. So is that helps? So we can actually avoid disasters by stopping hazards at the hazards level. How do we do that? By preparing our communities, by responding at our own level. If you increase your preparedness, your capacity to respond, you can actually do it. You don't need others to come and help you. Then it's a hazard. But any for a small thing, even one house is got fire and you can't really do anything. You need, fire engines or people have to come from outside. It becomes a disaster. So it's the scale, its intensity, and the preparedness and response. It what decides the definition of a disaster.
Thank you, Balraj. Any more questions?
No, I don't have a question, but I believe the biodata that you read, is definitely belongs to Prof. Sanjay. There's no doubt about it. It's only yours, CV, sir. Nobody can, take it. Nobody can build it. And I also wrote in the chat, if we have a little bit of Sanjay's spirit in each one of us, definitely we can create, a stronger Andhra association chapter, whatever we call it. In Andhra, there were so many, movements, right? Right from the Madras presidency to Sri Ramal Amarana and Niradiksha. There's so many. I mean, like, Andhra is the state which banned, after NTR, the alcohol. So in Andhra, I mean, I'm just talking about Andhra because I come from there. I'm very proud of it. Coming from Srikam, we have resources, we have expertise, we have passion. I think maybe politics have changed so much, or in Andhra, things have changed so much because of the World Bank intervention, or maybe, I don't know, what something happened. Somehow, suddenly the social work spirit is lost. Like, we have organizations like Movala, MVF Foundation, Bhagavatula Charitable Trust, RDT, Rayalaseema Development Trust. I mean, like, you name, NGOs that were nationally known, even, globally known when I was doing my social work in Loyola. We lost that, unfortunately. I don't know why. Maybe I'm wrong. I left Andhra for like 20 years now, after 1994, but still observing Andhra, learning Andhra, what's happening. This is what my job as an academic. So definitely there's a lot of scope, and we need people like Dr. Sudarshan, Dr. Sanjay Bhatt, and Professor Lakshmi Pati. I think I've been to him at Nagarjuna University for a recommendation. He don't know me, but he gave a beautiful recommendation. We need, people like you to put us in the right direction. That's what you have done today. Thank you so much. And maybe the Andhra Association will come up with some kind of meeting, and maybe organize every week, every month, kind of, 1 hour meeting. Why not? I think there is no doubt. It's Margaret Mead, said it's only the collective people. It's only few like-minded, committed people is the one that is needed to change the world. And I think Andhra Association has that. So I'm hopeful that we can do some interesting, work in Andhra and create that new eco-social world in Andhra first, and then beyond India and globally.
Definitely, Dr. Balraj. Definitely, we'll do that. Thank you. So, any other questions? One member raised a question. No name. iPhone. I don't know who is that. Please. Somebody, yes, no. If no more questions, then yes, any more? Okay. Due to time.
The question is how to join PSWAAP as a member. That's the question.
How to join PSW? Okay, those who have completed their masters or BSW courses, they can join by. I think we are developing this website. So very shortly, I think within a fortnight, the website will be created. So the link will be there. So they will definitely send the link, and then we'll pass the message that, the membership the drive also will be taken up. So we are taking all the care in this regard. Almost nearly 500, and ma'am, I think last week, what is the number, madam? Yesterday you told something.
270 yesterday.
Okay.
No,
total membership.
Okay. To 1600 above.
Yeah, 1600. Last time was 1500. Yeah, 1600 we have crossed so far.
Sorry, 1600 members you have, Dr. Reddy?
Yeah.
That's what you're saying?
16 members. 1600 members we have till now.
Wow, that's a great number. How many students are there in this today? Are there any students today?
Students out of 103, I think I got 1 minute. Yeah, around 40 students are joined today's program. 40 students. Yeah,
Thank you so much, students. Yeah, I think you are the future. Please ask us any questions.
Yes, students, please Subramaniam is there. Subramaniam, do you have any questions?
Somebody asked question, sir. I am student of like at Muslim University.
Aligarh Muslim University.
Aligarh Muslim University.
I don't know what is his question. Muhammad Sahid Alam.
Oh, Muhammad
Sahid
Sahid
Alam, please. What is your question?
Seems Dr. Reddy, the chat is blocked and there is a hand raised also.
Not blocked, it's open. I'm getting messages. Krishnamachari Kamara. Yes, do you have any questions, sir?
Yes, sir. Andarki, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Unmute yours.
Yeah, madam. నిజంగా చాలా సంతోషము అంటే ఇంతమంది సోషల్ వర్క్ ప్రొఫెషనల్స్ కలవడం అంటే ఆన్లైన్లో కలవడం చాలా గ్రేట్ ఇనిషియేటివ్ గా అనుకుంటున్నాను. చాలా ఏళ్ళగా చూస్తున్నాను అంటే మన సోషల్ వర్క్ కి భవిష్యత్తు ఉంటుందా అంటే ఇప్పుడు జనరేషన్ చాలా మంది అంటే పెద్దలు చెప్పినట్లు చాలా మంది ఈ ప్రొఫెషన్ ఎంచుకుంటున్నారు. అయితే ఇది ఏదో ఒక రోజు మీటింగ్ పెట్టి ఆపేయడం కాకోకుండా నెక్స్ట్ రాబోయే జనరేషన్స్ ని ఒక ప్రొఫెషనల్స్ గా తయారు చేయడంలో ఖచ్చితంగా కీలక పాత్ర వహిస్తుందనే ఒక నమ్మకం అయితే అనిపించింది. దాన్ని భవిష్యత్తులో ఏం జరుగుతుందో చూడాలనే ఒక ఆశ కూడా ఉంది. అయితే నేను ఇక్కడ చైల్డ్ హెల్ప్ లైన్ కి డిస్ట్రిక్ట్ కోఆర్డినేటర్ గా పనిచేస్తాను ఇక్కడ అనంతపూర్ జిల్లాకి. ప్రతిరోజు అంటే డాక్టర్ సంజయ్ గారు చెప్పినట్లు ప్రతిరోజు ఏదో ఒక 2 ఇంటర్వెన్షన్స్ అంటుంటాయి. చాలా ఫోకస్ ఉన్నటువంటి చాలా అంటే ప్రజలకి సోషల్ వర్క్ లో మనం ఏదైతే నేర్చుకుంటామో ఏదైతే ఆకాంక్షిస్తామో అవన్నీ నెరవేర్చడానికి ఇది ఒక బెస్ట్ ప్లాట్ఫామ్ గా మాకు ఉపయోగపడుతుంది. అదేవిధంగా దీన్ని స్టార్ట్ చేసింది ముంబై టాటా ఇన్స్టిట్యూట్ ఆఫ్ సోషల్ వర్క్ లో బిల్ మోరియా గారు స్టార్ట్ చేసినారు కాబట్టి తను చాలా స్ట్రాటజిక్ గా ప్రతి కోఆర్డినేటర్ ని ఎంఎస్డబ్ల్యూ ఉండే వాళ్ళనే తీసుకోవాలని ఒక క్రైటీరియా అనేది కూడా క్రియేట్ చేసింది. అందువలన చాలా మంది దాదాపు కంట్రీలో నాకు తెలిసినంత వరకు ఒక 12,000 మంది ఎవరైతే ఉన్నారో వాళ్ళంతా కూడా దాదాపు సోషల్ వర్క్ బ్యాక్గ్రౌండ్ ఎంఎస్డబ్ల్యూ కంప్లీట్ అయిన వాళ్ళని మాత్రమే తీసుకుంటున్నారు. అదే విధంగా మనకి ఇంతమంది అన్ఎంప్లాయిడ్ ఉన్నారు. సార్ చెప్పినట్లు 95% సెల్ఫ్ ఎంప్లాయ్మెంట్ పైనే ఆధారపడుతున్నారు. కానీ మనము గవర్నమెంట్ తో కానీ ఒక సీరియస్ గా తీసుకొని పర్టికులర్ జాబులకి ఈ సోషల్ వర్క్ కంపల్సరీ చేయించి ఒక ప్రయత్నం ఏదైనా చేసినట్లయితే చాలా బాగుంటుంది అనేది నా అభిప్రాయం. ఆ దిశగా మన ఈ ఫోరం వెళితే బాగుంటుందని అనుకుంటున్నాము. ఒకటి. రెండవది మనం కూడా కొంత ఫండ్ రైజింగ్ చేసి సెల్ఫ్ సస్టైన్ చేసేటట్లుగా కోర్సుల్లో కానీ తర్వాత యాక్చువల్గా చాలా మంది ఆంధ్రప్రదేశ్లో మనకు ఒక గ్రూప్ కూడా ఉంది, సోషల్ వర్క్ గ్రూప్. దాంట్లో కనీసం మినిమం కమ్యూనికేషన్ స్కిల్స్ కూడా మన అంటే సారీ ఈ మాట చెప్తున్నందుకు నేను బాధతో చెప్తున్నా, కనీసం ఇంగ్లీష్లో మాట్లాడడం కానీ ఇంగ్లీష్లో రాయడం కానీ కూడా మన వారికి ఇంకా లేదు. అంటే అది దానికి వేరే రీజన్స్ ఉండొచ్చు. ఆ విధంగా కమ్యూనికేషన్ స్కిల్స్ కావచ్చు లేదంటే టెక్నాలజీస్ అడాప్ట్ చేయడం కావచ్చు, ఈ ఫోరం కూడా దానికి కొంత సపోర్ట్ చేసి ఆపర్చునిటీస్ ఎక్కడున్నాయి, వాళ్ళు దాన్ని ఎట్లా అందుకోవాలా, తర్వాత పాలసీ మేకింగ్లో ఏ విధంగా చేంజెస్ తీసుకొని అందరినీ సెటిల్ చేయాలనే దిశగా పోతే బాగుంటుంది అనేది నా అభిప్రాయం. బాలరాజు గారు పెద్దలంతా దీనికి కొంత సపోర్ట్ చేయవలసిందిగా కోరుతున్నాను.
థ్యాంక్ యూ డాక్టర్ వెంకటేశ్వర్లు సార్. మీరు చెప్పినవన్నీ నోట్ చేసుకున్నాము. డెఫినెట్లీ విల్ వర్క్ ఆన్ దిస్ ఇష్యూస్. థ్యాంక్ యూ.
Namaskaram. Good morning. I'm on iPhone, but my chat was not going, so I want to speak. Dr. Bhatt was mentioning about remote social work programs from certificate to PhD. So, and there were people skeptical about these programs, but certainly there needs a lot more discussion on this because remote programs are equally good, and if at all these programs are not promoted, and there is a possibility that social work jobs will be taken away by other untrained social workers, and this happens in so many places and it's very painful. So can there be a little more discussion on this, please? Thank you.
Yeah. Professor Sanjay Bhatt, sir.
Sir, this is Dr. Venkateshwarlu from ANDHRA Nagarjuna University.
Sir, Chepan, sir, please.
Sir, at the outset, I thank the organizers of this webinar. Really, it has given us a lot of input, sir. And Professor Sudarshan, sir, and Professor Sanjay Bhatt, sir, Dr. Balraj, sir, really, they have given wonderful inputs. And I really appreciate this ANDHRA association has come forward to conduct this type of program, sir. You have taken very lead and wonderful, sir. It is a very good sign for the social work, I think, because we need to concentrate more on two issues. On the one side, we have to try for the employment facilities, enhancing the employment facilities for young social workers. On the other side, and we have seen so many things in the chart, and BSW and MSW programs are dying on in almost all the states, sir. Though it is a very good course, and one side regular courses are dying on, and other side in establishment of the distance education, and they are simply they are giving even professional courses also. They are providing degrees. I'm not blaming distance education, but there is a great need to develop regular courses. Sir, I request a very active association has come now throughout the state, and I request association members to concentrate on both two issues, sir. Employment facilities and establishment of the regular courses also, many places. I'm very thankful to you, sir, for giving wonderful opportunity, particularly Professor Kavita Tulsi, Professor Trumutra Garu, and Dr. Srinivas Reddy Garu, Dr. Balraj Garu, and I'm very thankful to all of you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Venkateshwarlu, sir. Thank you for definitely we will.
Namaste, sir. Sir, namaste, sir.
Yeah, please, ma'am.
Sir, I am Rama from Vijayawada, sir. Sir, Venkateshwarlu sir cheppinatlu రెగ్యులర్ కోర్స్ లో MSW చేస్తే ఆ స్కిల్ డెవలప్మెంట్ కానీ అదంతా వేరుగా ఉంటుంది సార్. ఇందాక మన సుదర్శన్ సార్ వాళ్ళు కాలేజ్ లో వాళ్ళు అంటే రీసెర్చ్ మెథడాలజీ చెప్పినప్పుడు మేము చాలా హైగా మేము ఊహించుకునే వాళ్ళం. మేము ఎక్కడో మంచి ప్రొఫెషనల్స్ అవుతాం అనుకునే వాళ్ళం. అది చాలా మంది మా బ్యాచ్ లో చాలా మంది యంగ్ గుడ్ ప్రొఫెషనల్స్ అయ్యారు. కానీ సోషల్ వర్క్ చదువుకున్న స్టూడెంట్స్ కి సరైన ఆదరణ అయితే లేదు సార్. మంచి జాబ్ ఆపర్చునిటీస్ రావడం లేదు, వచ్చిన చాలా అరకొరగా ఉంటున్నాయి. అలాగే రికగ్నైజేషన్ కూడా చాలా లీస్ట్ గా ఉంది సార్. ఇందాక మన పెద్దలందరూ చెప్పారు సార్. దయచేసి ఇప్పటికైనా ఈ కోర్స్ ని అంటే నాకు ఇప్పుడు అనిపిస్తుంది రాబోయే కాలంలో మంచి యంగ్స్టర్స్ కి మంచి దారి చూపించగలరు, మీరు అందరూ దిశానిర్దేశం చేయగలరని అనిపిస్తుంది. థ్యాంక్ యూ సో మచ్ సార్.
థ్యాంక్ యూ రమా మేడం గారు. తప్పకుండా మేడం, అసోసియేషన్ తప్పకుండా ఈ విషయంలో పాల్పంచుకొని.
థ్యాంక్ యూ సార్. నా వంతు నేను కూడా
అందరూ everyone must cooperate and coordinate in all the aspects. It's not the beginning, but every month we do certain activities. Definitely the association will take care of all the activities, and okay, definitely we want to rejuvenate and revive the social work in
లయోలా కాలేజ్ లో లెక్చరర్స్ మంచి ఫ్యాకల్టీ ఉండేవాళ్ళు సార్. సత్యనారాయణ సార్, సుదర్శన్ సార్, ఫాదర్ చరికల్, వీళ్ళంతా చాలా గుడ్ ప్రొఫెషనల్, బాగా చెప్పేవారు సార్.
రమా మేడం గారు, నేను లయోలా స్టూడెంట్ 91.
అవునా సార్? ఓకే, థ్యాంక్ యూ సార్.
91, 93
మీకు చెప్పక్కర్లేదు కదా అప్పుడు.
మై గురు ద మెంటర్ డాక్టర్ సుదర్శన్ సార్ వాస్ దేర్.
చాలా ఇన్స్పైర్ అయ్యేవాళ్ళం సార్. కాలేజ్ లో లెక్చర్ వింటుంటే మేము ఎక్కడికో వెళ్ళిపోయామని ఊహించుకునేవాళ్ళం.
డాక్టర్ సత్యనారాయణ సారు మేడం, యాని జయరాజ్ మేడం, అను శరత్ మేడం, ఓకే, many really Professor Das sir. Good evening sir. Thank you Rama madam.
Thank you sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Yes.
just let me respond to a couple of things that people have asked.
Can I speak, sir?
One is, thank you, Ram. Speaker is on, right?
Yes, Srinivas, saying something?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I listen. Sir,
Okay.
this is Srinivas. I am working as a CS Trust Advisor in corporate company. Previously, I am working the 2016. I am joining the NGO, sir, small NGO. That time I am receiving the salary for month 8,000, sir, only for 8,000. I am struggling in 5 years. I am struggling that NGO. After that, experience of 5 years. After that, I am going the microfinance company as CS Trust Manager. Now here I am receiving the salary 25,000, sir. But initially I am saying every government to mention the social work mandatory there, because of previously we fight the AP state. We meet the CM also. We forward some letters. Sachivalayam posts, no? Welfare assistant posts mandatory the social work candidate. We approve.
Okay. Got it.
So
yeah.
Kavita Tulasi మేడం ఆధ్వర్యంలో ముందు మేడం గారిని డైరెక్ట్ కలవలేదు, ఫోన్ లో కాంటాక్ట్ చేశాం సార్. మేడం గారి హెల్ప్ తోటి దాదాపుగా అన్ని స్టేట్స్ నుంచి ప్రతి డిస్ట్రిక్ట్ నుంచి తెలంగాణలో ఏపీలో ఈ డిస్ట్రిక్ట్ నుంచి ఒక క్యాండిడేట్ తరపున వెళ్ళి రిప్రజెంటేటివ్ ఇవ్వడానికి వెళ్తే అక్కడ ఎటువంటి రెస్పాండ్ లేదు సార్ సీఎం గారిని కలవడానికి వెళ్తే.
ఓకే శ్రీనివాస్ గారు, మీరు చెప్పవలసిన అంశం మాకు అర్థమైంది. తప్పకుండా ఓకే, మీ బాధలన్నీ అర్థం చేసుకున్నాం. కానీ డెఫినెట్లీ మన అసోసియేషన్ డెఫినెట్లీ ఇట్ విల్ వర్క్అవుట్ ఇన్ దిస్ రిగార్డ్ అండి. ఓకే,
షూర్ సార్. ఎందుకంటే సార్ సోషల్ వర్క్ చేసిన ప్రతి క్యాండిడేట్ కూడా 7,000కి 8,000కి 6,000 కూడా చేసే క్యాండిడేట్స్ ఉన్నారు సార్ ఎన్జిఓస్ లో.
ఓకే, we have understood అండి. We have understood. Okay, we'll take it very seriously. Okay. Now, as Dr. Sudarshan sir was saying something.
Yeah. So there were a question, and there is an expectation that we answer that question. So I am going to, Dr. Bhatt is not here, so I'll try to answer that. So there is a question relating to online education. Online, whether social work is suitable for online education, and can we do it with a good quality? That's the point asked. So I would say, based on US experience, it can be taught with a high quality in a distance mode also. There are a lot of technologies available, and instructional designing tools are available, and we have done that. I myself, we have a traditional face-to-face MSW program, and also I was responsible in developing the online version of it. So we have both the programs, online version and a face-to-face in the classroom that happens. So I would say the standards are same, and the way we assess whether the programs are really learning outcomes are being achieved or not, the students are learning adequately at the same level or not, we assess that. So I would say that it is happening. See, in the same way, exactly in the same way, the class lectures, the design materials that are delivered to the students are also exactly the same. So the outcomes are the same. Okay. So if you design it well and it is offered well with the same rigor and standards, you can have same outcomes, whether it is a distance mode or a face-to-face. But internship, the field work is anyway face-to-face. It cannot be compromised. So the field work is done in a face-to-face, and there is no reduction in hours. Same number of hours they have to complete here. For a master's degree, for a person to have a master's degree, 900 hours, okay, that is translated into so many weeks. So those many hours should be completed for a master's degree. And a BSW level, almost close to 500 hours should be completed. We calculate in hours in the US, but in India, weekly 2 days, 2 days means 8 hours per day. 16 hours of field work should be done. I hope the same number is continuing, if not increased. So that's how the field is organized. But some questions I have heard is some attempts to do away with the field. field work. So I heard from some educators in Telangana, Hyderabad especially. They said, they're trying to do away with the field work. So field work is the signature pedagogy, in the sense that is how a professional is trained. Without field work, you cannot train really a social worker. So that is non-negotiable. When you are designing the program, when you are offering MSW or BSW program, so field work cannot be compromised. It has to be there, and it is a professional training program, so through which you train them and impart the knowledge, skills, and values and ethics. So that should not be compromised. But the theory part, whatever the knowledge that we are transferring, that can be delivered through online, but the practicum or the field work should be done in a face-to-face context. So that is how we are doing here. And I think in India also it is being implemented, but there is a pressure to do away with the field work, because online is the easy way to administer the programs, and the universities can say that they have the program, but it's online, and they can have a less number of faculty and easy way of managing it. So maybe they are finding it easy ways to run the social work program, but education has to maintain certain quality, because you have to meet the standards here. Otherwise, you won't get accreditation. But in India also, it should be enforceable. NAC rules should be, standards should be enforced, so that, field work cannot be compromised. They have to do the same number of hours.
Exactly, sir. Thank you, sir. Now, I think due to, if no more questions submitted due to paucity of time, now it's time to wind up the question and answer session. Now, may I request the last session, that is vote of thanks session, I request Mr. Ramesh, the executive member and the CEO of our association, to extend a vote of thanks to the speakers and the members. Request Ramesh to propose a vote of thanks. Ramesh, please.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. Everybody, good evening, sir. First of all, opportunity to giving to our meeting organizer and the president is Dr. Srinivas Reddy Garu, and chief guest, but sir, Dr. Balraj Nick sir, and Sanjay Bhatt sir, Sudarshan Pasplate sir. Thank you so much, sir, again. I am myself, Ramesh, from Andhra Pradesh, Professional Social Workers of Andhra Pradesh, executive body member and chief executive officer. I am completed to Master of Social Work. Now I work into some private organization at Hyderabad. Thank you so much, sir. A program like to the one of this kind cannot be possible without the support and cooperation of number of hands have joined to make the program success visible to all. It is such an honor for me to get the opportunity. Thank you all dignitaries. I would like to express my gratitude to all esteemed dignitaries of the webinar for their presence and contribution to make this webinar a great success. At the outset, I extend my gratitude to our honorable keynote speaker, Professor Sudarshan Pasplate, School of Social Work, the University of Access, Rio Grande Valley, Texas, USA, to take out time from this busy schedule to grace the event. Your keynote address on professional social work in changing world inspired, analyzed, use the special day. I express my sincere thank you to today honorable speaker, Professor Sanjay Bhatt, Delhi School of Social Work, University of Delhi, New Delhi, for accepting addressing use on social work education in the present constant and the future. Thank you very much. Once again, thank you, sir. I extend my heartfelt thanks, Dr. Balraj Nikku, Assistant Professor, School of Social Work, Human Services, Thompson University, Canada, for accepting our invitation and delivering excellent information on disaster management and green social work. Thank you very much, sir. This virtual meet was possible due to the team effect of all the executive body of professional social workers, Andhra Pradesh, Dr. P. Tavita Tulsi, Professor Trimurti Rao, Dr. Srinivas Reddy sir, Dr. Padmaja madam, Dr. Sudhakar Babu sir, and Mr. Ramesh to make it success. Thank you so much, everyone. I would like to thank you all the participants attending this program through online, all way from different parts of India. I am connecting you can go back with knowledge. Last but not least, my offset thank you to Mr. Taran and Kiran Kumar helped me a lot in technical side of the event. I congratulate and thank you all the participants for your active participation. Thank you everyone once again, making it a great success. E-certificate will be sent to all the participants through email. Thank you so much, sir, all of you. And जो different areas है आया सब लोग कुछ लोग इंग्लिश मालूम नहीं आता, अभी तक एक आदमी बोला मिनिमम नॉलेज भी नहीं है बोल के, डिफरेंट कर्नाटका, महाराष्ट्र, अलग अलग जगह से मीटिंग्स भी अटेंड हो गया बोल के हम सोच रहा हूँ. जो डिफरेंट एरिया से आया सब लोग को धन्यवाद. बट आगे जो भी मीटिंग का हम लोग को चीफ गेस्ट भी आया, सब लोग को बहुत खुशी से हम लोग को ऐसा करने में फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल फर्स्ट मीटिंग से बहुत अच्छे से लग रहा बोल के मेरा तरफ से, मेरा ऑर्गेनाइजेशन तरफ से और सब लोग 3 चीफ गेस्ट का बहुत शुक्रिया धन्यवाद बोल रहा हूँ. उसके बाद कर्नाटका बल्लारी से भी सब लोग आया. बल्लारी मतलब उसको हिंदी इंग्लिश मतलब समझ में हो रहा क्या नहीं है मालूम नहीं, मैं एक्सप्लेन कर रहा हूँ. यार बल्लारी अंड कर्नाटक से यार ಬರ್ತಾರೆ ಮೀಟಿಂಗ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ, ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ, ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ ಹೇಳ್ರಂ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಅವ್ರು ಏನಾರ ಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಕಾಲ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನಿ ಸೋಷಲ್ ವರ್ಕ್ ಆಟಿಟ್ಯೂಡ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರು ಎಲ್ಲಾರು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಜೊತೆలో ಮಾತಾಡಿ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಏನ್ ಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಸಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಅವರು ಜೊತೆలో ಮಾತಾಡಿ ಸೋಷಲ್ ವರ್ಕ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೇನ್ ಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ನಮ್ಗೂ ಸಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅವ್ರಿಗೂ సోషల్ వర్క్ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ప్రొఫెషనల్ సోషల్ వర్క్ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನಂದ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ಲಾరు ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕು. ఇది ఈనాటి సమావేశానికి హాజరైనటువంటి చీఫ్ గెస్ట్స్ సంజయ్ భట్ సారు, సుదర్శన్ పసుపులేట్ సారు, అలాగే బాలరాజ్ నిక్కి సారు, వారికి మా హృదయపూర్వక ధన్యవాదాలు. వారు బిజీ షెడ్యూల్లో ఉన్నప్పటికీ మా యొక్క మనవి విని అలాగే ఇన్వైట్ చేయగానే వెంటనే మా యొక్క మనవి విని వచ్చినందుకు వారికి మా యొక్క కృతజ్ఞతలు నేను తెలియజేస్తూ ఉన్నాను. అలాగే మా ఎగ్జిక్యూటివ్ బాడీ మెంబర్స్ కూడా ఈ యొక్క మీటింగ్ కి హాజరైనటువంటి, మీటింగ్ ని ఆర్గనైజ్ చేస్తున్నటువంటి మా ఎగ్జిక్యూటివ్ మెంబర్, జనరల్ సెక్రటరీ అండ్ మీటింగ్ ప్రెసిడెంట్ మిస్టర్ శ్రీనివాస్ సార్ కూడా చాలా ధన్యవాదాలు సార్. ఇంత ఆపర్చునిటీస్ కల్పించేంత వరకు అంతా మీరు చాలా ఆనరబుల్ గా నడిపించారు. చాలా థ్యాంక్ యూ సో మచ్ సార్. అలాగే ప్రెసిడెంట్ గారు డాక్టర్ తవితా తులసి మేడం గారు, వారు కూడా ఈ మీటింగ్ కొరకై ఎంతో ప్రయాసపడుతూ ఎన్నో రాత్రులు మేల్కొని ఫ్లైర్ చేయటంలో కానీ ఈ విధంగా చేస్తూ తన యొక్క వర్క్ ని సక్సెస్ చేయటం విధానంలో నన్ను కూడా అడ్వైజ్ చేస్తూ ఏ కోణంలో వెళ్ళాలనేటువంటి విధానంలో గైడ్ చేస్తూ వచ్చింది. మేడం కూడా థ్యాంక్ యూ సో మచ్ మేడం వన్స్ అగైన్. అండ్ అలాగే ట్రెజరీ మేడం పద్మజ మేడం కూడా అవి ఎప్పటికెప్పుడు ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ గ్యాదర్ చేస్తూ, మధ్యలో కొంచెం బిజీ షెడ్యూల్ ఉన్నప్పటికీ మీటింగ్ కి హాజరు కావాలన్నప్పటికీ ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ గ్యాదర్ చేస్తూ వస్తూ ఉన్నారు. మేడం కూడా థ్యాంక్ యూ సో మచ్. అలాగే ఎగ్జిక్యూటివ్ బాడీ మెంబరు మరి డాక్టర్ త్రిమూర్తి సారు జాయింట్ సెక్రటరీగా ఉంటూ మరి కొన్ని మీటింగ్లకు హాజరై వారి యొక్క అడ్వైజ్ కూడా మా అందరికి ఇవ్వడం జరిగింది. సారు థ్యాంక్ యూ సో మచ్ సార్ వన్స్ అగైన్. అలాగే సుధాకర్ బాబు సార్ కూడా మరి లాస్ట్ మీటింగ్ చేసినప్పుడు ఈ యొక్క సోషల్ వర్క్ గురించి ఎంతో అడ్వైజ్ చేస్తూ వచ్చాడు. తన అడ్వైజ్ ను కూడా తీసుకొని ఒక ప్రాజెక్ట్ కూడా చేస్తాను సార్ నేను ముందుకని వచ్చాడు. ఈ విధంగా చెప్తూ వచ్చినందుకు తనకు కూడా ఈ యొక్క మీటింగ్ లో మనం కంగ్రాచులేషన్స్ అండ్ థ్యాంక్ యూ సో మచ్ సార్. ఈ విధంగా ఒకరికొకరు మనము వాళ్ళకున్నటువంటి ఐడియాలజీ ప్రకారము సోషల్ వర్క్ ని ఏ విధంగా ముందుకు తీసుకెళ్ళినటువంటి విధానంలో వారు మాట్లాడటము అది చాలా ఆనందకరంగా ఉంది. ఇట్లాగనే ఇంకా కొంతమంది ఎగ్జిక్యూటివ్ బాడీ మెంబర్సే కాక కొంతమంది ఎవరైతే మాస్టర్ ఆఫ్ సోషల్ వర్క్ కంప్లీట్ చేసి మన యొక్క గ్రూప్ లో ఉన్నారో వారిలో కూడా గొప్ప గొప్ప ప్రతిభావంతులు ఉన్నారు. వారిలో కడప డిస్టిక్ నుంచి ఏపీడీగా చేస్తున్నటువంటి అసిస్టెంట్ ప్రాజెక్ట్ డైరెక్టర్ మిస్టర్ సంపత్ సార్ ఒకరు ఉన్నారు. ఆయన ఒక అడ్వైజ్ ఇవ్వడం కూడా జరిగింది నాకు. సార్ మీరు రండి సార్, మా దగ్గరికి రండి, డిఫరెంట్ పెద్ద పెద్ద ఎన్జిఓస్ దగ్గరికి వెళ్ళి మనం ఒక లెటర్ తీసుకున్న వాళ్ళకి ఒక లెటర్ ఇచ్చి మన సోషల్ వర్క్ టీం ఎవరైతే ఉన్నారో వాళ్ళందరికీ ఒక జాబ్ ఆపర్చునిటీస్ కూడా కల్పించాలి మనం అని చెప్పి ఆయన ఎంతగానో ముందుకు వచ్చాడు. చాలా సంతోషం. థ్యాంక్ యూ సో మచ్ సార్, ఏపీడి సంపత్ కుమార్ సార్, థ్యాంక్ యూ సో మచ్ సార్. ఇలాగా ఇంకా చాలా మంది అడ్వైజ్ ఇస్తున్నారు. బట్ ఈ మీటింగ్ లో మనము వాళ్ళ యొక్క అడ్వైజ్ ఏం మాట్లాడినారు ఎలా అనేటువంటిది మనము డిస్కస్ చేయడానికి టైం లేదు కనుక రాబోయే రోజుల్లో ప్రతి ఒక్కరం కూడా ఒక ఎగ్జిక్యూటివ్ బాడీ మెంబర్సే కాదు, ఈ మీటింగ్ లో హాజరైన ప్రతి ఒక్కరికి ప్రతి మెంబర్కి నేను తెలియజేస్తున్నాను, ప్రతి ఒక్కరు ముందుకు వచ్చి మేము చేస్తున్నటువంటి ప్రతి కార్యక్రమానికి కూడా మీరు మద్దతు ఇచ్చినట్టుగా సపోర్ట్ చేస్తున్నట్టుగా ఎక్కడ ఏ విధమైనటువంటి ఆటంకాలు ఎదురు కాకుండా ఇప్పుడు శ్రీనివాసరెడ్డి సార్ ఏదైతే చెప్పాడో ఫ్యూచర్ లో ఒక సోషల్ వర్క్ అంటే ఏమిటి అనేటువంటి విషయంలో మనం గవర్నమెంట్ దృష్టికి వెళ్ళి ఖచ్చితంగా ఒక బార్ కోడింగ్ తెచ్చుకునే విధానంలో మనము ఆ దిశలో పనిచేయాలని శ్రీనివాసరెడ్డి జనరల్ సెక్రటరీ గారు అయితేనేమి, ప్రెసిడెంట్ గారు అయితేనేమి వారి ఆశయాల మేరకు ఖచ్చితంగా మనం పోరాడి ఈ యొక్క సోషల్ వర్క్ యొక్క ప్రతిష్టత ఏంటి అనేది మనం చూపించుకోగలిగితే అప్పుడే ఎన్ని వందల స్టూడెంట్స్ ప్రతి ఇయర్ బయటకు వచ్చినా కూడా వాళ్ళందరికీ ఒక ఉద్యోగం అంటూ ఉంది అనేటువంటి భరోసాతో వారు చదువుకోగలిగే ఆశతో వారు ఉండాలని అందరికీ కూడా నేను తెలియజేస్తున్నాను. కాబట్టి ప్రతి ఒక్కరు కూడా ఈ యొక్క ప్రొఫెషనల్ సోషల్ వర్కర్స్ అసోసియేషన్ ఆఫ్ ఆంధ్రప్రదేశ్ కి మీరంతా సపోర్ట్ ఇచ్చి మద్దతుగా ఉండి ఎప్పుడు మీటింగ్ పెట్టినా ఎప్పుడు ఏ అజెండా పాయింట్స్ ఇచ్చినా ఏ యాక్షన్ ప్లాన్ ఇచ్చినా ప్రతి ఒక్కటి మీరు మాతో పాటు కలిసి ఉండాలని మీ అందరికి నేను మనవి చేస్తున్నాను. థ్యాంక్ యూ సార్, థ్యాంక్ యూ వన్ అండ్ ఆల్. థ్యాంక్ యూ సార్.
థ్యాంక్ యూ రమేష్, థ్యాంక్ యూ వెరీ మచ్. Thank you one and all. Sir Sudarshan sir, thanks a lot for accepting our invitation, delivering a keynote address. So మా గురువు గారు అయినటువంటి మీరు చాలా, ఎందుకంటే బాలరాజు కూడా చెప్పాడు లయోలాలో చదివేటప్పుడు నాకు అన్ని గుర్తొచ్చాయి మీరు పాఠం చెప్పేటప్పుడు. కానీ రియల్లీ ఐ మీన్ టుడే ఈజ్ a great day for me sir, red letter day for me after long years. Thank you sir, thank you sir, thank you. Dr. Balraj, thank you very much.
Sanjay Bhatt sir,
okay,
Balraj,
Dr. Sanjay Bhatt sir,
thank you. Thank you. Vanakkam. Good night.